Chapter 461. An evil and strange smile appeared in Lu Zhao's eyes. The shadow was wearing a hood, but its mouth seemed to split open all the way to its cheeks. The shadow gently exhaled, and a cyan spear instantly attacked Lu Zhao's chest. With Lu Zhao's late-stage celestial sea realm cultivation, he couldn't dodge. "My life is over. Sacred shield." Suddenly, a sacred shield appeared in front of Lu Zhao. The cyan spear instantly hit the sacred shield, and the air rippled slightly. A ripple flashed by. Boom! The sacred shield exploded, and the spear paused for a moment before whistling by again. It almost grazed Lu Zhao's cheek and disappeared into the void, before he could rejoice about surviving a disaster. Boom! With a loud noise, a terrifying energy wave swept across, and a powerful shock wave swept across the 4 celestial sea realm experts who were frozen in the sky. Puff! Puff! 4 mouthfuls of blood spurted out, and the 4 celestial sea realm experts in the sky instantly flew backward. At the same time, the surrounding buildings sealed by lightning also collapsed in an instant. A dark figure quietly floated in the void, full of oppressive, evil energy. Holding a long blade with an ivory handle in his arms, he looked at the gloomy Wang Lan with ridicule in his eyes. At this moment, Wang Lan had already put on the Phoenix Saint robe, the silver cloak fluttering in the wind, the sacred shield in his left hand, and the slasher blade in his right hand. Bright red flames gushed out of his body, and the phoenix tail pattern between his eyebrows was as red as the morning sun, as bright as blood. Facing Sony, Wang Lan had to use his strongest battle form from the very beginning. This man, under the joint pursuit of his mother and Emperor Qing, could escape, which was enough to prove his strength. "You're finally willing to show up." Sony's gloomy voice sounded. "Is there a need to leave your corpse intact?" Bloom. Sword of light. Boom. The slasher blade shattered and turned into a 2-meter light sword. Looking at Wang Lan's slasher blade, Sony's eyes showed a hint of curiosity and a bit of greed. Although he did not grow up in the host country, his love for swords seemed to be imprinted in his bones. There was actually such a miraculous Star Palace Divine artifact. Dragon Emperor form. Vigorous star power gushed out, and a golden dragon revolved around Wang Lan's body. 2 dragon horns quickly grew out of Wang Lan's forehead. The mimicry of the phoenix form allowed Wang Lan to display the auspicious dragon and phoenix by himself. Although the power was not as strong as when he joined forces with Yurun, the difference was not big. "That's enough," Sunny shouted coldly. His figure flashed and stabbed at Wang Lan's chest like Spectre. If Wang Lan's phoenix form was merely at the level of a titled expert, then the Dragon Emperor form had faintly stepped into the half-step astral soul realm. Sony was interested in watching an ant struggling to survive in front of him, but once the ant had the ability to injure him, he could not wait to slap it to death. His body shattered and turned into countless colorful butterflies dancing in the air. Sony frowned. "Freeze!" The hell butterflies continued to dance. Every time they flapped their wings, they would disappear for a moment. When they reappeared, they were already a few meters away. Sony looked at the dancing butterflies with a serious expression. "Even my space freezing has no effect. Is it a space Takashi Hoshi technique?" "No. If it is a space Takashi Hoshi technique, I should be able to detect the fluctuations in space." Sony looked at the hell butterflies around him seriously. Suddenly, Wang Lan's figure appeared. The moment he appeared, the light sword stabbed at Sony. Wang Lan's sword was as fast as light. However, pure light had no attacking power. Only when light was converted into a sword would it have the power to kill. However, Sony could even dodge the attack at the speed of light. No, he did not dodge it. Instead, the light was refracted. When the light pierced towards Sony, it was refracted instantly. Wang Lan's attack did not land on Sony, but Sony's attack landed instantly. Fast. It was faster than Wang Lan expected. It was so fast that even Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi technique could not be used in time. Pucci. The scene froze. Sony's body was pressed tightly against Wang Lan's chest. His right palm, was pressing against the hilt of the katana. The katana pierced into Wang Lan's chest. The sword came out from his back and held Wang Lan on the tip of the sword. Drip, drip, drip. Blood dripped from the tip of the sword like a broken string of pearls. Wang Lan, Lu Zhao, who had just crawled out from the ruins, saw the scene in front of him. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Looking at Wang Lan on the tip of the sword, Sony's eyes showed a hint of satisfaction. About 10 years ago, no, maybe 12 years ago, a crazy woman chased after me for a month. That month, I did not sleep for a minute. I did not eat a single meal. That month was the most difficult time of my life. I even suspected that I was living in hell. Even when I ran out of Jade State, that crazy woman still chased after me. In the end, I jumped into the sea. That crazy woman was covered in flames. She was not good at fighting in the water. That was how I got through those difficult days. I heard that you are her son. If that crazy bitch knew that you were going to die in my hands today, would she regret letting me escape? Of course not, because you were left for me to kill. Chi. A shadow flashed across the sky. A beam of light swept past the shadow. Sony's figure retreated the moment Wang Lan opened his mouth. The sword of light slashed across Sony's cheek. The bright sun's sword shot out and easily cut open Sony's neck, leaving a bloody wound. Sony reached out his trembling hand and touched his neck. The moment he saw the bright red blood on his hand, his face turned as pale as paper. Just a bit more, just a bit more. If it weren't for his sharp instincts and instinctively dodging, he would have really been defeated just now. Sony dominated the world and came and went as he pleased. Even when he was chased by Yin Emperor in Jade State for a month, he did not come close to being killed. Was it carelessness? No, it was definitely not carelessness. It was because this person was too strange. He could not be described with common sense. Suddenly, Sony's eyes sharpened. The wound on Wang Lan's chest that was gushing blood disappeared in the blink of an eye. Wang Lan lowered his head and looked at the broken phoenix Saint garment on his chest. His eyes were filled with fear. The strength of the phoenix Saint garment had long surpassed the strength of any metal known to mankind. This kind of metal did not exist in the natural world of Sky Blue. It was a magical metal that could withstand 30,000 degrees of heat without deforming. It could withstand the impact of armor-piercing bullets without breaking. Yet, it could not withstand Sony's light slash. Although he knew that the Phoenix Saint garment would not be able to withstand the attacks of the 5 emperors, Wang Lan felt a chill run down his spine when Sony pierced it like a piece of paper. Fortunately, Wang Lan still had his self-healing ability. After many upgrades, it had reached the peak. Now, even if half of his body was destroyed, he could quickly regrow it. Ha ha! Suddenly, Sony burst out laughing from afar. You're good. I thought that even if I was not invincible, no one could take my life. But I almost died in your hands. Even a lion uses all its strength to catch a rabbit. A moment of carelessness and you'll die. As soon as he finished speaking, a wave of energy rippled from Sony's body. In an instant, the world froze. The terrifying air pressure was like a giant hand that grabbed Wang Lan's body tightly. Wang Lan's body exploded and turned into a flying butterfly. The hell butterfly existed between reality and illusion. It also existed between life and death. It looked real, but was actually an illusion. Therefore, even if space was frozen, it could still flap its wings and change positions. A hell butterfly appeared 100 meters away. Wang Lan's body appeared instantly. However, the frozen air still attacked him. This was not a single Takashi Hoshi technique. It was an area of effect Takashi Hoshi technique. Within a radius of a few kilometers, space froze. Sony's body was like smoke and turned into a green dragon. The dragon appeared and was already in front of Wang Lan. Whoosh! An ear-piercing sound was heard. The green dragon seemed to have been struck by lightning. The dragon's head collided with the lightning and exploded into a ball of electric arc in the air. The green dragon swept past and gradually dissipated. A figure stood in the air. Sony looked back doubtfully. After the first successful attack, he thought that Wang Lan would not be able to dodge the second attack. His second attack was also aimed at Wang Lan's throat. With one slash, the head was separated from the body. It was perfect, but this time, not only did Wang Lan avoid it, his speed was even on par with Sony's. How is this possible? If Wang Lan had this ability, would his heart have been pierced by the previous attack? In the surrounding sky, thunder roared and countless lightning flashed in the frozen air. Lightning could not move in a vacuum, but it could move quickly in the frozen air. As long as there was a conductive medium, Wang Lan's Thor form could turn into lightning. It was not that Sony did not think of this, but he had never seen such a beautiful Thor's body in decades. And Wang Lan was able to think of a countermeasure in an instant. Hell Butterfly's dance could indeed successfully avoid Sony's attack. But under Sony's extreme speed, the flaw of Hell Butterfly's dance could not be hidden. Even though the Hell Butterfly was not attacked, but the position of the Hell Butterfly could be seen. With Sony's speed, he could definitely catch up with Wang Lan the moment he appeared. Therefore, Wang Lan would rather use the Thor's body than Hell Butterfly's dance. But unexpectedly, the Thor's body was surprisingly useful in the frozen air. Especially when the air was frozen, a large amount of water vapor condensed. The combination of the Thor's body and the water demon allowed him to catch up with Sony's speed. Seeing this, Wang Lan was overjoyed. Purple eyes of the void opened. Whoosh! A thunderous sound exploded in Sony's ears. A figure formed by electric arcs slashed at Sony's head. Sony instantly turned into a clear shadow, and his figure instantly disappeared. Boom! Boom! Lu Zhao, who fell to the ground, raised his head and stretched his neck to look at the sky. The remaining 3 Astral Sea Realm experts struggled to get to Lu Zhao's side. Director Lu, are they fighting or chasing in the sky? They should be fighting. It's too fast. I can't see it clearly. Even if I use my astral power, I can't sense it. Now, I just hope that Wang Lan can stall for a bit longer. The Lotus Emperor will be here soon. This Wang Lan, I still remember that 2 years ago, he was only in his 3rd year of high school. His strength was only at star blazing. In a mere 2 years, he had actually grown to such an appalling level. He should not be far from the throne of the orthodox path. Sony's strength is not below the 5 emperors. Chapter 462. Think about it. Think about it carefully. The 3-star Sea Realm experts did not even think about it. Although Sony was notorious, they had been free and unfettered for so many years that the International Security Committee could not do anything about them. Sony had escaped from the pursuit of Emperor Qing and Yin Emperor more than a decade ago. Sony was already on the list of the top experts in the world. And now, Wang Lan was able to fight Sony to a draw? Even if it was just a short draw, it meant that Wang Lan's strength had reached that level. The moment they reacted, the 4 of them took a deep breath. Wang Lan relied on his Thor form to move freely in the high-pressure environment. Although this was Sony's territory, it was more suitable for Wang Lan. In the high-pressure air, the medium for lightning was everywhere. The little white dragon in the waves was relying on its swimming skills to compete with the fish in the water. What kind of F***king thing was this? Under the purple eyes of the void, Sony's speed was reduced to the slowest. Relying on his platinum-level swordsmanship, he was able to beat Sony to a pulp. For a moment, he was held back by Wang Lan's omnipresent attacks and could not retreat. Sony suddenly clasped his hands together. In an instant, the condensed air exploded. An earth-shattering sound was heard. The dark clouds in the sky suddenly dispersed. The clear sky was like a light that shone into everyone's eyes. Wang Lan's body suddenly flew backward. The terrifying impact was like a knife cutting Wang Lan's body. The electric light flashed, and suddenly, the electric current stopped. The electric arcs on Wang Lan's body gradually receded, leaving behind the phoenix holy garment floating in the air. The air had become a vacuum. In a vacuum environment, electricity could not travel. Wang Lan could not maintain his Thor form. What? Come on? Weren't you very fast just now? Sony pursed his lips. The voice did not come from Sony's mouth, but Wang Lan could hear it clearly. In a vacuum environment, not only did it lose the medium, it also lost oxygen. Without oxygen, Wang Lan could not guarantee that he could last more than 5 minutes. What was worse was that without Thor's speed, how was he going to dodge Sony's attacks? When Wang Lan was still thinking, Sony would not give Wang Lan any time to think. In an instant, Sony's attack came. A blade slashed across Wang Lan's neck. The blade flashed and fell. Boom! Wang Lan's body instantly exploded. The wings of the underworld butterfly fluttered. When Sony saw this, a mocking smile appeared on his face. 50 butterflies? Let me guess where they will appear in the next moment. In an instant, Sony's figure disappeared. Just as Wang Lan stepped out of the void, Sony's attack came. A sword slashed through Wang Lan's waist, but it was Wang Lan's afterimage in the void. Wang Lan's body flickered continuously. Sony's attacks landed on Wang Lan the moment he appeared. This was when Wang Lan was still in the state of Underworld Butterflies Dance. Once the number of times Underworld Butterflies Dance flashed was used up, he would be beheaded by Sony. His heart was in his throat. His eyes widened as he looked at the sword coming down on his head. Chi! The blade flashed, and Wang Lan's figure disappeared. Sony's body froze. A familiar spatial fluctuation rippled across Wang Lan's body like a ripple on the surface of a lake. Space element. It really is a space element. Sony kept his tachi. There was no trace of a joking expression on his face. Space element Takashi Hoshi must die. Suddenly, Sony lowered his head and looked at Lu Zhao and the rest on the ground. Seeing Sony's gaze, Lu Zhao and the rest felt a chill in their hearts. Not good. A chill ran down their spine, but before it reached their heads, Lu Zhao only saw a blur in front of his eyes. He was already in Sony's hands. Wang Lan, your teleportation ability can indeed prevent you from dying, but can it prevent everyone from dying like you? This person seems to be the Major General of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. If you don't come over, I'll kill him. Wang Lan, don't come over. You may not be his opponent now, but you will be able to kill him in a year. Remember this grudge. When you can kill him in the future, remember to avenge me. Lu Zhao's astral power flashed. Chief Lu, don't. Wang Lan's eyes almost popped out. In order to prevent Wang Lan from being threatened, Lu Zhao decided to self-destruct. You want to die? It's not that easy. Boom! Sony's fist landed on Lu Zhao's chest, and the star power that had gathered in Lu Zhao's chest was actually scattered by his fist. Boom! 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 3 consecutive punches landed on Lu Zhao's chest. Lu Zhao's head instantly formed a cloud of astral fog. The fog suddenly shattered, and the star palace dissipated. Sony's 3 punches had destroyed Lu Zhao's star palace. A major general of the Heavenly Sword Bureau, a late-stage astral sea realm expert, had been reduced to a cripple in an instant. Sony released Lu Zhao with a sneer. Lu Zhao's body fell from the sky. A hell butterfly flapped its wings and appeared beside Lu Zhao. Then it carried Lu Zhao and disappeared. Wang Lan appeared again. This time, he landed on the roof of a collapsed building. He held Lu Zhao in his arms. A life chain was connected to Lu Zhao's body. However, Lu Zhao's star palace had been destroyed. He had become an ordinary person. Takashi Hoshi's healing skill was useless to Lu Zhao. Wang Lan, go. You're more important than the entire city. Do you still remember what you promised me before the operation? I only agreed to let you join the operation because you can teleport and guarantee that you won't die. Go. Go. Wang Lan, if you dare to leave, I'll slaughter Sioux City. I remember that Sioux City has about 10 million people, right? How can there be so many people in such a small city? I wonder how many attacks you can take from me. Wang Lan go, you. Damn it. Wang Lan instantly stood up and looked at Sony in the sky. Purple void eyes. The purple light in Wang Lan's eyes surged. The purple light illuminated the sky. Sony's expression changed slightly, but then he smiled. Interesting. You can actually lock onto me. Astral God Arrow. Wang Lan pointed his finger at the sky. With the purple void eyes locking onto him, no matter how fast Sony was, he would not be able to escape from the Astral God Arrow. Wang Lan's body was like a bow, and his astral powers were like an arrow. His left hand slowly gathered strength, and a dazzling arrow appeared at the tip of Wang Lan's finger. Whoosh! The sound of the arrow piercing through the air could be heard. Initially, Xiao Luo thought that Sony would choose to dodge, but he did not expect Sony to stand proudly in the air, looking at the arrow seriously. Ha! With a soft shout, the air in front of Sony froze. Crack! With a crisp sound, a few cracks appeared in the sky. Half of the arrow had already sunk into the cracks. Once the astrogod arrow was shot, it would not turn back until it hit its target. Even though the arrow had stopped in the sky, it still stubbornly moved towards its target inch by inch. Slowly, the entire arrow sank into the frozen air. Sony's expression changed, and he clasped his hands in front of his chest. The solidification in the sky became thicker. Looking from below, it looked like a huge diamond had formed in the sky, and the astral god arrow was still stubbornly breaking through the diamond and moving forward inch by inch. What kind of Takashi Hoshi skill is this? This is interesting. For the first time, Sony looked at Wang Lan seriously. Whether it was the incident where he almost failed or the battle with Wang Lan's Thor body, Sony had never thought of Wang Lan as an opponent who could threaten him. After all, there were only a dozen people in the world who could match up to him. If Sony wanted to kill Wang Lan, it would be a piece of cake. But this arrow made Sony reevaluate Wang Lan. Sony had seen skills where he could not dodge once he was locked on. So if he could not dodge, he could just not dodge. But how could it break through Sony's absolute defense? The world only knew that Sony had the fastest speed in the world, but who knew that he had the strongest defense? If that was not the case, how could he have survived Wang Ling's pursuit? In this world, other than Sony, who could withstand a light punch from Yin Emperor? Ka! There was another soft sound, and Sony's hand twisted. The solidified space was broken and then intertwined. But even if the astral god arrow was distorted, it still stubbornly squeezed towards Sony. Bastard! Sony roared, and the solidified space in front of his chest exploded. The astral god arrow was like a ray of light, piercing through Sony's shoulder. If it was not for the fact that the astral god arrow had used up too much energy during the frozen space, Sony would be severely injured if not dead. Sony stared at the bloody hole in his shoulder. This time, he was angrier than the wound on his neck, because the wound on his neck was caused by his carelessness, and the wound on his shoulder was caused by his full effort to block the attack. You deserve to die. In an instant, Sony crossed a few hundred meters and appeared beside Wang Lan. And Wang Lan, who had just shot the astral god arrow, did not have the strength to dodge. A blade flashed, and Wang Lan's head flew into the sky. The Astral Sea Realm Masters not far from Lu Zhao did not even have time to scream before they saw Wang Lan's head fly into the sky. He's dead. The hope of the Jade State, the hope that could support the Jade State for the next 50 years, was destroyed just like that. Wang Lan's death was not only the death of Takashi Hoshi, but also the death of an era's hope. Although it could not be said that after Wang Lan, no one would be able to inherit Wang Lan's position. But as of now, no one could. Not even Yu Ruiyun. Yu Ruiyun was the second princess of the Yu family, and it was destined that she could not be trusted unconditionally by the Jade State. But Wang Lan could. No one saw that the moment Wang Lan's head flew out, a stream of light flew out of Wang Lan's chest. No one knew that a diamond-like bead fell into a hidden corner. The bead rolled into the slanted high-rise building and fell into the corner. Suddenly, the bead broke open, and a mass of flesh and blood wriggled and expanded rapidly. In 10 seconds, the flesh and blood had turned into a baby, and then the baby grew rapidly. In less than a minute, a brand new Wang Lan was lying on the floor. The floor was a little cold, and the people in the building had been evacuated by the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Wang Lan's eyelids moved slightly, and he slowly opened his eyes. Wang Lan struggled to prop herself up. Even the simple act of standing up was extremely strenuous for her. After the clone was reborn, the body would be as weak as a baby, and it would have to wait for 12 hours to recover its combat power. It was indeed uncomfortable to use this ability for the first time. It was not the process or the aftermath of the rebirth that was uncomfortable, but it was the moment of real death before the rebirth. At the moment when the clone was reborn, Wang Lan's consciousness would enter the bead, and the Wang Lan in the outside world would be a physical body. Wang Lan could clearly feel the blade cutting through her neck. It was like cutting through a piece of white paper with a utility knife. Chapter 463. Sony looked at Wang Lan's corpse beside his feet, and a twisted sense of pleasure rose in his heart. He slowly came to Wang Lan's head and kicked Wang Lan's head away. Back then, you chased me like a dog, and I didn't dare to step into Jade State for 10 years. Today, I will kick your son's head like a ball. You must have never thought about it, right? Ha ha. The next one will be your sister's life. After saying that, he flashed to Lu Zhao's side. Lu Zhao was severely injured and unconscious. Sony slapped Lu Zhao's head, waking Lu Zhao up. Major General, look into my eyes. Although spiritual engraving was a compulsory subject in Jade State, it was not the case overseas. Especially for organizations like Birds of Paradise, their education system was abnormal. They pursued the greatest combat power, and learning something like spiritual engraving was a waste of time. Even if there was a need, wouldn't it be fine if someone in the organization mastered it? Unfortunately, Sony was not one of the people who mastered it. Not to mention spiritual engraving, Sony's mathematics was worse than a primary school student in Jade State. However, Sony also had his own unique skills in interrogation. Born in the host country, Sony had an unparalleled talent in illusions. His illusions could make a Star Sea realm expert fall into a trance and be completely hypnotized. Therefore, Lu Zhao, whose star palace was destroyed, could not resist Sony's illusions. Tell me, where's Wang Qi? I don't know. Sony coldly looked at Lu Zhao. Looking at his unfocused eyes, he asked, then who knows where Wang Qi is? Only Wang Lan knows. F***CK? Sony couldn't help but curse. He turned to look at the corpse not far away. Damn it, I should have interrogated him before killing him. Damn it. Ooh, suddenly, a shrill wind whistled through the sky. Sony's body trembled violently. He instantly abandoned Lu Zhao and turned into a green shadow and disappeared. A few seconds after Sony disappeared, a ripple appeared in the void. The Lotus Supreme, the Arch, stepped out of the void and slowly descended from the sky. The first thing he saw was the mess around him. The second thing he saw was Wang Lan's body in the ruins. In that instant, a chill ran down his spine. Wang Lan was dead? Wang Lan actually died in battle. Emperor Qing was stunned for a few seconds. Given the Azure Emperor's strength, his state of mind had long reached a perfect state. Even if something big were to happen in front of him, it would be difficult to shake his heart. However, Wang Lan sent a chill down the Lotus Emperor's spine. From the moment Takashi Hoshi awakened, he was destined to be associated with death. No matter who it was, they could all die. Even someone as strong as Yin Emperor and the Azure the Arch had experienced life and death situations many times. Those who survived would attain the Tao and become emperors, but even more would die in the process of attaining the Tao. Anyone could die, but the Lotus Supreme the Arch could not accept Wang Lan's death. After the 5 emperors, Wang Lan was the only one who stood out. Yu Riyun was very outstanding, and her future achievements would not be worse than the Lotus Supreme Thearchus. However, she could not become a legend. A legend was a very mysterious thing. It was a kind of luck, the protagonist of an era. Yu Riyun was not, but Wang Lan was definitely one. From Wang Lan's experience since his awakening, it could be seen how magnificent his short 2 to 3 years were. Once a legend died, an era would be bleak. Therefore, Yu Qing could imagine that Su City would suffer heavy losses, but she did not expect Wang Lan to die in this battle. The Lotus Supreme, the Arch, slowly walked to Wang Lan's body, carefully picked up Wang Lan's head, and gently walked to Wang Lan's body. Sony, this time, don't even think about escaping. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly there was a buzzing sound, and the body in front of him suddenly trembled. This scene was very terrifying. If an ordinary person saw this scene, they would definitely be scared to death and run away. And they would run while shouting, "A corpse is coming to life." Suddenly, the Phoenix Saint robe on Wang Lan's body separated from the body, and then turned into a stream of light, instantly rushing toward the collapsed building not far away. While Yuqing was stunned, it wrapped itself around a figure. The silver cloak turned into a pair of wings, flapping as it flew over. The three Takashi Hoshi guarding Lu Zhao looked at the approaching Wang Lan with a blank expression. Lord Lotus Supreme the Arch, you're here. Wang Lan revealed a youthful, sunny smile. If you were a little later, I might really have to fight with my life on the line. At this moment, in the depths of the Lotus Supreme Thearcha's heart, he only wanted to say, "Evil doer, watch out for my sword. Wang Lan's body is at my feet. Are you brazenly transforming in front of me?" Seeing the Lotus Supreme Thearcha's confusion, Wang Lan hurriedly explained, "Lord Lotus Supreme the Arch, this is my bloodline talent, clone rebirth. You also know that my innate ability is self-healing. Ordinary injuries, as long as I'm not instantly killed, can be quickly healed. But there's no other way if my head is chopped off. But later on, I awaken a new ability. I can condense a fetus pearl in my body, and when I encounter a fatal threat, I can shoot the fetus pearl out, and the fetus pearl can rebirth a new me." Rebirth from a drop of blood? Hearing this, the Lotus Supreme Thearcha's expression suddenly changed. Rebirth from a drop of blood was a magical ability of the ancient gods, and it had to be a magical ability of the most powerful gods. It was said that they could use the spilled god's blood to gain life again, and it could be said to be an endless cycle of life and death. Not really, right? Now I'm just transferring my life essence to rebirth, leaving behind a body. There's still a long way to go before I can truly rebirth from a drop of blood. You really dared to dream. The Lotus Supreme the Arch looked at the young man in front of him and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Rebirth from a drop of blood was a magical ability of the ancient gods. If you can really rebirth from a drop of blood, then you're not far from becoming a god. But these were all things for the future. Now that Wang Lan was not dead, the haze in front of him naturally disappeared. "Lord Lotus Supreme the Arch, Lord Lotus Supreme the Arch, what's the matter? Our convoy was attacked by strong people. The convoy escorting us was completely destroyed on the Shanghai-Nanjing highway, and all the escorts were killed." They really have this idea? I know, where's Sony now? Shanghai. After hanging up, the Lotus Supreme, the Arch, gently patted Wang Lan's shoulder. "Where's your aunt? Follow me, Lotus Supreme the Arch." Lu Zhao really didn't know where his aunt was. This time, Wang Lan's plan was to hide it from his superiors. In normal people's minds, the higher the rank, the more secrets they would know. But Wang Lan did the opposite. Wang Lan had actually hidden his aunt in the Heavenly Sword Bureau's underground training space. Only Su Shiyun and a few others knew about this. Even Lu Zhao and Wang Qianfeng didn't know. His aunt was just an ordinary person. It was impossible for her to go to the alternate dimension. But Jiang Sinyu's company had been researching Takashi Hoshi bracelets, and there was already a trial version. The reason why it wasn't mass-produced was because the cost was too high. The Jiang group would only release it after reducing the cost. But Jiang Sinyu had no problem getting a bracelet. Before tonight's operation, Jiang Sinyu and the rest hid in the alternate dimension with Wang Qi. Even if Sony racked their brains, they wouldn't have thought of this. "Wang Lan, what should we do with this?" One of the Heavenly Sword Bureau members ran over with Wang Lan's body and asked Wang Lan, "This sounded a little scary." "Burn it. It's useless. Put on the ground." "I'll do it. Why do I feel like I'm being whipped?" An extremely hot ray of light shot out and set his body on fire. Under the extremely hot ray of light, the body was quickly burned to ashes. Back at the Heavenly Sword Bureau, everyone felt much more relaxed with Lotus Supreme the Arch around. That night, at around 9 o'clock, a SF Express delivery slowly arrived at the entrance of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Wang Lan curiously followed Lotus Supreme the Arch to the front. Inside a diamond-like energy shield, a pure and flawless piece of raw jade appeared in the carriage. "Master Lotus Supreme the Arch, you're brilliant." Using a special escort team to escort the fake raw jade, but hiding the real raw jade in an ordinary express delivery. Unless Sony has the ability to check every single container truck from Shanghai to Sioux City, they won't be able to find the real raw jade. The moment Wang Lan saw the raw jade, he immediately thought of Lotus Supreme Thearka's plan. This plan isn't that brilliant. Sony must have thought of it as well. Sony has the advantage of speed, while we have the advantage of information resources. However, we can't let Sony continue to be so arrogant. Lotus Supreme Thearka's face revealed a pained expression when he mentioned Sony. After he sent a raw jade and Miss Wang Qi over, Ming Di and Xian Di should be free. He. Master Lotus Supreme the Arch. I heard that you fought with Sony more than 10 years ago. 12 years ago, Sony swaggered into Jade State to steal our Beidou system's confidential data. In order to obtain the data, he killed more than 10 national treasured scientists. Your mother and I were ordered to kill him. Sony was no match for us. If Sony didn't run, any one of us could kill him within 5 minutes. However, if he wanted to run, we couldn't do anything to him even if we worked together. With his speed, he could ignore all obstacles. Even if we trapped him in a metal box, he could easily escape. That month, your mother and I chased after him relentlessly. In the end, he managed to escape into the Atlantic Ocean. For the next 3 years, I didn't hear any news about him. For the past 12 years, he didn't dare to step into Jade State. Sony must have been traumatized. Maybe, now that Miss Wang Qi and the raw jade are together, I can protect her. I don't think Sony will dare to attack us again. That night, under the escort of the Heavenly Sword Bureau, Wang Lan's aunt left for Shanghai. This time, they would not take a plane to the safety zone. Instead, they would be escorted by a convoy. Sure enough, with Lotus Supreme Thearka's escort, the convoy arrived safely at Cebu Gakuen at around 11 o'clock at night. On the other side, in a secret underground room in Shanghai, a blonde beauty carefully pinched the suture thread and stitched up the wound on Sony's neck. It was not that Sony couldn't get Takashi Hoshi to treat his wound. It was just that he couldn't find anyone in Jade State who could treat him. To think that I, the #1 expert in the Birds of Paradise, had to resort to such a primitive method to treat my wound after a long time. Sony stood up and looked at the Band-Aid on his neck. His face showed a trace of joy. Flame Emperor, I killed your son. I wonder if you're so angry that you want to tear me into 1,000 pieces right now. I really want to see that heart-wrenching look on your face. Just thinking about it makes me excited. Chapter 464. It was a peaceful night. The next day, the sun shone into the room. Wang Lan was already dead in Sony's heart. Just in case, Wang Lan changed into the Heavenly Sword Bureau's combat uniform and put on a mask. At 8 a.m., Wang Qi and the other two boarded the car with the Yu family's escort team and the military's escort team. The 15 cars set off from Shanghai Cebu Gakuen. During the morning rush hour, Shanghai's traffic was not very good. It was difficult to move on or under the bridge. Because of the change in plans, they had to carry out traffic control in advance. It took them 2 hours to get out of Shanghai's urban area. Jia, it won't be good when we get on the highway, Wang Qi said as she held Song Jia in her arms and stroked Song Jia's little head. Along the way, they were braking, and braking. Even though Song Jia had awakened the Takashi Hoshi's talent and would not get carsick, he still felt uncomfortable. What he had experienced these few days was quite a shock to Song Jia. For the past 13 years, she had grown up under the wings of others. Also, her family conditions made her live like a princess. Although she did not say things like peaceful times and the world was peaceful, she did think so in her heart. When she heard her classmates talking about the Takashi Hoshi, saying that although they had a high status, they had to risk their lives, and that they might as well be ordinary people and live a carefree life, she never refuted. Because in the past, Song Jia also thought that the world was very safe and war was very far away from them. But now, how many days had it been this summer? First, her mother was assassinated. Then the demon spies attacked her home. Song Jia saw those scary demons suddenly rushing out with her own eyes. Flying in a plane, the plane exploded. Staying at home, the enemies bombed the area around her home. All of this changed Song Jia's view of the world from the very beginning. People who said peaceful times. Have you ever seen war? Have you ever seen people's lives on a battlefield? Have you ever seen the scene of someone comforting you and telling you not to be afraid and that they would protect you, but the next second, the elder sister who was speaking was killed in front of your eyes? He had seen the Song Jia before. At this moment, Song Jia had successfully planted a seed of strength in his heart. She didn't want to be someone who couldn't do anything but be protected. She didn't want to be someone who couldn't do anything when danger came. The convoy sped up and lined up in a row. The military vehicles cleared the way while the other vehicles made way for them. Suddenly, his phone rang. Emperor Qing, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, frowned and slowly took out his phone. Seeing that it was an unknown number, the Lotus Emperor had a bad premonition. Stop! Everyone stop! As soon as the 15 cars entered the high-speed turntable, they stopped in unison. The countless test cars behind him had no choice but to stop. The loudspeakers were beeping loudly. Emperor Qing answered the phone, and an arrogant voice sounded from the other end of the phone. Emperor Qing of Jade State, it's really not easy to get your number. Sony, what do you want to do? Can you not ask such a stupid question at this time? Don't you know what I want to do? Do you really want to be the enemy of Jade State? Emperor Qing's voice suddenly became sharp. I don't want to. Sony's frivolous laughter was heard. How can I be a match for Jade State with my small body? I don't dare, but I have no other choice. I don't want to be the enemy of Jade State, but Jade State doesn't intend to give us a way out. Isn't it good for you guys to be quiet and well-behaved? Why did you raise a scientist like Wang Qi who breaks the rules? Think about what she has done in the past few years. Is it human nature? Birth, aging, illness, and death are natural laws. She broke the rules. The Takashi Hoshi poison is a good thing that doesn't care about the strength of the target, but it was destroyed by her. How can we carry out holy war attacks in the future? How can our Takashi Hoshi poison bomb be a deterrent in the future? It's not that we can't tolerate it, but who asked her to invent the awakening medicine? If everyone can awaken the Takashi Hoshi in the future, how can we survive? Therefore, this Wang Qi must die. Wang Qi is with me now. Come here if you dare. Guess where I am? Suddenly, Sony asked with a smile. What do you want to do? I'm warning you not to mess around. I'm in Shanghai Skyscraper Park now. There's so many people. Sony's sarcastic sneer made the atmosphere in the car become extremely tense. The people of Jade State live a good life. How many people in the world can't even fill their stomachs? How can the Jade State, which has 1/5 of the world's population, be so happy? How can there be such a beautiful city with endless delicious food? How can they go to the amusement park to ride the roller coaster and play bungee jumping? Do you know? Many people can only ride the roller coaster and bungee jumping once in their lives. After experiencing it once they die, we are all human beings living in this evil world. Do you think it's fair? Emperor Qing, I'll give you 10 minutes. I'll invite you to fight at the top of Skyscraper Park. If you don't come, I've checked the Skyscraper Park. There are at least 100,000 people. They will all die. After saying that, Sony hung up the phone. The beeping sound seemed to be the signal of the heart stopping, the signal of death. Emperor Qing, let's act according to our plan yesterday. Wang Lan in the back seat suddenly said with a chuckle. I'm counting on you. Emperor Qing showed a relaxed smile. He opened the door and got off the car. His figure flashed, and he rushed up into the air toward the skyscraper paradise. Wang Lan also opened the door and got off the car. Song Jia hurriedly grabbed Wang Lan's clothes. Don't worry. It's okay. Sony's move was within my expectations. The Lotus Emperor and I will make sure that he dies in Jade Nation. Be careful. Wang Qi solemnly reminded Wang Lan. Come back safely. Wang Lan smiled. His figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. Wang Lan had expected that Sony would threaten Emperor Qing with the lives of innocent people. This was the only way Sony could lure Emperor Qing away. If not for Wang Lan, Emperor Qing would not have cared about Sony. Nothing was more important than escorting Wang Qi and Yuan Yu to the safe zone. However, with Wang Lan, the lives of innocent people and Sony, Wang Lan wanted them all. Wang Lan's space movement could restrain Sony's speed. Emperor Qing's damage output could kill Sony. With the combination of the two, Sony would definitely die. However, Wanglan's space coordinates were difficult to avoid. He could only set the coordinates in a fixed space. These coordinates were absolute coordinates and not relative coordinates. Relative coordinates could be relative to an item. If one set the seat on an item, they would move wherever the item was. However, absolute coordinates could only be set at a certain location. Even if the entire continent was moved, the position he could teleport to could only be a certain coordinate in space. Therefore, he had to set the absolute coordinates on Sony in order to achieve a perfect kill. This question had troubled Wanglan for a long time. It was a knot that she could not solve. However, after Emperor Qing took out a wooden awl, this problem was instantly solved. That wooden awl was called green sky wood. It was a celestial artifact left behind by the ancient cultivation civilization. The green sky would form its own space. It did not belong to this world. Because of this, it was the best treasure for sneak attacks. No matter how strong a person was, they would not be able to sense the existence of the green sky wood. And because the green sky wood only had a small section like a finger, Wanglan marked the location on the green sky wood as an absolute coordinate. Although the space power in Wanglan's body had become extremely scarce after many times of consumption, he could still teleport 3 times. Emperor Qing and Wanglan rushed to the skyscraper paradise, one in the light and one in the dark. Emperor Qing was in the light, while Wanglan was in the dark. Even if Sony racked his brains, he would never have thought that Wanglan, who was beheaded by him, was still alive. In the skyscraper paradise, there was endless laughter. The screams of extreme excitement in the distance came into Sony's ears one after another. Looking at this group of urban men and women who were seeking excitement, Sony's eyes flashed with indescribable envy. Gradually, the envy in his eyes disappeared, and the coldness in his eyes became more and more solid. He was right about some things. Why do I have to live a life where everyone wants to beat me up? Why do I have to live a life of hiding? Why do I have to walk around the world with my head held high and chest puffed out when I can crush a bunch of you with a single finger? Why do I have to kill people and commit crimes in order to survive? Why do you think the world is so beautiful? Sony once asked a person, if you have no money and are very hungry, and there's a person in front of you who has a piece of bread in his hand, will you kill him and take his food? Sony remembered that person's answer for many years. What you said is not true at all. In Jade State, how can you not even have food to eat? If you're really hungry and have no money, you can just find a passerby and ask for food. Ignore this fool. How can you starve when you have hands and feet? Yes, how can you starve when you have hands and feet? They did not know that in this world, many Takashi Hoshi in the Starsea realm would also starve. Many Takashi Hoshi grew up in order to eat. These people don't even know how hard it is to live. They don't deserve to live. Sony looked at his watch and stood up slowly. It's almost time. Should I do it 1 minute earlier? That makes sense. Only by completely enraging Emperor Qing will he show his weakness. Now, in an instant, a wave of astral power rippled from Sony's body. The area within a 3-kilometer radius was quickly compressed and suppressed. Mom, I feel a little uncomfortable. Me too. I feel like I can't breathe. Damn, my chest is so tight. Quick, I can't take it anymore. Call an ambulance. Looking at the panicking people below, Sony's face showed a ferocious and crazy smile. Suddenly, the smile on Sony's face disappeared as he looked up into the sky. So soon? You didn't hesitate at all? As soon as he finished speaking, there was a distortion in the void. A figure rushed out of the void and punched at Sony with the power of thunder. Boom! Thick smoke rose from the ground under their feet. The entire mound collapsed under the Azure Thearch's punch. Thick smoke rose into the sky. Everyone looked at the mushroom cloud rising in the distance in horror. This is Chapter 465. The Lotus Emperor's punch was like a god descending from the heavens. The force of his punch covered an area of 800 meters around Sony. How could the rockery made of mounds withstand his punch? The entire rockery instantly collapsed into a flat ground. Seeing the Lotus Emperor's attack, Sony was not angry, but happy. Lotus Emperor, you're really here? Ha ha ha. I knew that the Jade State is too soft-hearted. You don't even know what to give up. As long as you're alive, there's nothing to give up. Is that so? Do you really think that I'll fight you with my fists? This is not an alternate dimension. Boom! As soon as Sony finished speaking, a loud noise was heard. The huge Ferris wheel slowly collapsed in the flames. Save them. The Heavenly Sword Bureau and the experts from the Academy who had just arrived at the Ferris wheel immediately rushed to the collapsed Ferris wheel. Bastard, you buried a bomb. Ha ha! The bomb I buried is enough to raise the Ferris wheel to the ground. In my opinion, explosions are the most beautiful art in the world. Not only do they bring about the beauty of an instant bloom, but they also bring about the preciousness of life that will never be reborn. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions were heard one after another. Underworld dominoes. A violent roar was heard. In an instant, countless gates of the underworld rose from the ground. They were densely packed and endless. If one were to look at them from the sky, they would find that countless spears were rushing out from the ground and pointing at the sky. Explode. Sony roared crazily and punched the Lotus Emperor. His body instantly turned into a stream of light and disappeared. At this moment, the Lotus Emperor wanted to stop him, but was blocked by a terrifying feeling that made his heart palpitate. Without hesitation, the Lotus Emperor slapped the ground. Life firmament. In an instant, countless vines sprang out from the ground in the entire skyscraper park area. The vines grew rapidly like the hair of the earth. Many panicked tourists suddenly exclaimed and were wrapped up by the vines that sprang out from beside them. In the blink of an eye, the vines formed an impenetrable vine defense line around them. Almost in an instant, the life firmament covered the entire Ferris wheel. It was also at this moment that the earth began to undulate violently, as if the surface of the sea was surging. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions rang out and lasted for 10 seconds. At this second, if it weren't for Wang Lan's netherworld domino and Emperor Qing's life firmament, the entire skyscraper paradise would definitely turn into ruins, and the 100,000 people in the skyscraper paradise might die. Although the skyscraper paradise was now in ruins, at least most people were protected by the firmament of life. Most of the damage and shock waves were blocked by the underworld dominoes. When the explosion completely disappeared, thick smoke shrouded the entire skyscraper park. In every life arc, a group of men and women hugged each other tightly, their bodies trembling. Not to mention experiencing such a terrifying scene, it was impossible to even dream about it. The cries of women and children, the tremors of the earth, and the roar of the explosion made them think that they were in a nightmare. They just wanted to wake up quickly. The smoke and dust gradually dissipated, and many men and women gradually escaped from their fear. They raised their heads and looked at the light peeking in through the cracks. This sealed and terrifying environment where they couldn't see anything actually gave them a sense of security. The Lotus Arch stood up, panting. His spiritual perception spread out like ripples. Sony had disappeared after breaking free from his blockade. If he was not wrong, they should be heading toward the convoy. With Sony's speed, it would take less than a minute to catch up with the fleet 50 kilometers away. Now, he had been missing for more than 30 seconds. The situation was critical. Lord Lotus the Arch, Wang Lan's voice sounded, and he instantly appeared around the Lotus the Arch. Quick, take me there. Okay. Wang Lan grabbed the Lotus the Arch's arm. The space fluctuated slightly, and the two instantly disappeared. When the two reappeared, they were still sitting in the same car. Wang Lan was even sitting in his previous seat. Looking at the safe fleet, Sony should not be here yet. The rest depended on the Lotus the Arch's sneak attack this time. Boom! A thunder-like roar came from the distant sky. Above the sky, the shadow of a green-winged dragon slammed down diagonally from the sky, leaving a vacuum behind. Although it was strange that the fleet stayed in place for so long, it didn't matter. Yuan Yu and Wang Qi were in the fleet. The Lotus the Arch was still at the skyscraper 50 kilometers away. This time, no one could stop me. Sinai, Sony, who was diving down, was distorted. Under the high-speed impact and the distortion of light in the vacuum, Sony's body became extremely ferocious and terrifying. His entire head turned into a sharp cone. In half a second, the entire fleet would be completely wiped out by this attack. As long as, suddenly, a figure rushed out of the fleet and crashed into Sony at an extremely fast speed. This figure was F*King familiar. In just 0.01 seconds, Sony recognized the figure that rushed out of the car. It was the Lotus the Arch. Impossible. It was impossible for him to be so fast. Sony could not accept it. The Lotus the Arch was still at the skyscraper 50 kilometers away. How could he rush back to the fleet in such a short time? In this world, there is no one who can be faster than me. However, Emperor Qing had indeed appeared. His fist carried an earth-shattering power as it smashed towards Sony's chest. In that 0.01 second, Sony hurriedly dodged. He did not want to fight the fleet. He did not want to kill Wang Qi. With the Lotus the Arch protecting him, he did not stand a chance. Also, before he figured out why the Lotus the Arch was so fast, he had to hide. 10 years. The Lotus the Arch might have found a way to counter his speed and was waiting for him to come. But even if Sony wanted to run, the Lotus the Arch's punch would not be so easily avoided. Boom! The punch created a cloud storm, and a plume of smoke rose into the sky. If the satellite camera was recording, it could be seen clearly that the plume of smoke was breaking through the atmosphere. Although the punch did not hit Sony, even if it was only 30% of the force, Sony would be severely injured. Sony's body shot into the sky like a cannonball. His body rolled violently. Blood spurted out of his mouth and splattered on the ground. Stay. The Lotus the Arch was not going to let him go. He rushed into the sky and chased after him again. Seeing the Lotus the Arch approaching him again, Sony's face turned green. He let out a strange cry and rushed into the sky. In fact, when running for one's life, one did not have to worry about the injuries. Even if one's intestines were hanging out and needed to be supported by one's hands, one's running speed would not be too slow. In the face of a life and death crisis, Sony exploded with unprecedented speed. His body instantly turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Although the Lotus the Arch's punch was filled with anger, it hit the air. Looking at the disappearing Sony, the Lotus Emperor didn't show any anger. Instead, he sneered as if he had gotten his way. Although the Lotus the Arch wanted to kill Sony with the first punch, he did not forget to plant the green skywood in Sony because of his anger. The green skywood was silent. When Sony felled it, the green skywood had already pierced into his shoulder. Sony was running for his life and did not have time to deal with the green skywood on his back. The Lotus the Arch flashed and returned to Wang Lan's side. Wang Lan closed his eyes and felt the green skywood moving quickly. In the past, people only knew that Sony was the fastest person in the world and was called the sonic speed player. But in fact, he was too low-key. How could the speed of sound deserve the title of the fastest person in the world? Even Wang Lan could reach the speed of sound in a short period of time. Sony's real speed was more than Mach 15. Wang Lan sensed that his speed was at least 3 times faster than the subjugated missile. In less than a minute, Sony rushed over the sky of Shanghai. Even the most sensitive radar could not catch his trace. Sony did not slow down when he passed over Shanghai. In the blink of an eye, he flew over the East Sea and rushed into the East Sea. He still hasn't stopped. The Lotus the Arch asked impatiently. This Sony, why is he so cautious? Is he trying to run out of the Jade State's territory? Where is he now? East Sea, still heading east. Seems like he wants to go to the host country. No, he went to Sanxian Island. Boom! A gust of wind blew past Sanxian Island. Sony's face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. He spat out a mouthful of blood. The Lotus the Arch had planned to kill him with this punch. Even if Sony managed to dodge most of the punch, the remaining 30% of the punch was enough to cripple him. Seems like I have to go back to the headquarters to recuperate for half a year. Before he could finish his sentence, the space behind him rippled slightly. Sony's eyes widened in an instant. His pupils dilated and his face turned pale. The Lotus the Arch was here. He had crossed more than 100 kilometers and chased after him with the space Takashi Hoshi. Boom! Sony could not dodge this punch. This punch had been fully charged before Wang Lan teleported with the Lotus Arch. Therefore, the moment the Lotus Arch appeared, it did not even take 0.1 seconds for the punch to land on Sony. Puff! Sony spat out a mouthful of blood and internal organs. His body fell to the ground and smashed into the ground, creating a crater with a radius of 50 meters. Wang Lan was standing behind the Lotus Arch. He could even feel the entire Sanxian island trembling slightly. Sony's eyes were wide open. What blocked his throat was his stomach and lungs that had been squeezed up by Emperor Qing's fist. Starting from the middle, the 5 organs in his body instantly rushed to all the exits that could be vented. Although Sony was not dead yet, he had to die. The Lotus Arch raised his hand slowly. There was still smoke coming out of his fist. Now I understand why an emperor likes to use his fists so much. It feels so good to beat someone with his fists, especially a bastard like you. It's indescribable. Sony could no longer respond to the Lotus Arch, but his eyes could still move. When he saw Wang Lan from the corner of his eye, he understood everything. How did the Lotus Arch get here? How did the Lotus Arch get here so quickly? So, you're not dead yet. Boom! The Lotus Supreme, the Arch punched Sony's head again. Chapter 466. Why? Why is Wang Lan still alive? I had already chopped off his head. Why is he still alive? When the Lotus Emperor swung his fist, there were still many questions in Sony's mind. But he was not destined to get the answers. Congratulations, host, for assisting in the killing of the Birds of Paradise expert, Sony. The reward is 500,000 experience points and 80,000 skill points. When the notification sounded, Wang Lan smiled. The Lotus Emperor stood up slowly and looked at the headless Sony with a complicated expression. This guy had been running rampant in Sky Blue Planet for more than 20 years. No one could do anything to him. Now, he's finally dead. Killing Sony is equivalent to destroying half of the Birds of Paradise. Sony must have a lot of secrets about the Birds of Paradise, right? Of course. But no one in this world can say that they can capture Sony alive. I am afraid that if I am too slow, he will escape. Without Sony, the Birds of Paradise can only hide in the sewers like rats. They will not dare to be as arrogant as before. Let's go back. They did not use teleportation to go back. Instead, they flew in the air. In order to take care of Wang Lan's speed, the Lotus Arch had no choice but to slow down. This slow speed was relative to the Lotus Emperor. The 200 kilometers journey only took half an hour. It was not slow at all. With Sony dead, the biggest crisis was solved. The convoy set off again. It took them 2 days and 1 night to reach the underground base of the safety zone. Seeing the environment, Song Jia's face fell. But when he heard that there were many children of his age in the reserve and that there were many holographic playgrounds under the reserve, Song Jia's unhappiness faded away. Successfully escorted Wang Qi to the Wanzhou area. Mission completed. Reward: 300,000 experience points and 20,000 skill points. Previously, it was 80,000 skill points. Now it was 20,000 skill points. His skill points had reached 100,000. The past year and a half had been peaceful. Because of the immortal cloud mystical records, his leveling speed did not slow down. But the skill points were hard to come by. He had been earning a few thousand skill points. Although he had accumulated 70,000 to 80,000 skill points in the past year and a half, how could it compare to earning 100,000 skill points in one go? Sure enough, happiness did not come from little things, but from getting rich instantly. Originally, Wang Lan wanted to have a relaxing and happy holiday when he came back this summer vacation. Who would have thought that he would encounter such an incident at the beginning of the summer vacation? By now, 20 days had passed. By the time Wang Lan returned to Sioux City, July had already come to an end. After a year and a half of practice, Wang Lan's main combat skills, Takashi Hoshi, had almost reached the late platinum level. It was time to cap them. His light of life had already reached its peak, and his bright Yang sword art and Dachira transformation were both at platinum 8. Wang Lan was a little conflicted about whether to upgrade his bright yang sword art or to cheer a flower. Thinking back to the battle with Sony, Wang Lan realized what Wang Lan lacked to become a true top player. It was a one-hit kill ability. Wang Lan no longer lacked comprehensive skills. No matter what kind of enemy he encountered in any environment, Wang Lan would be able to come up with a countermeasure. Wang Lan had almost maxed out his life-saving skills. Even if Sony wanted to kill Wang Lan, it would be difficult. Therefore, Wang Lan did not hesitate for long and added points to his bright yang sword art. Although they were all at platinum level, the increase in lethality was limited. But even if it was limited, it was still pure lethality. When it was at platinum 8, the lethality of bright yang sword art was lower than astral arrow. But after it was upgraded to platinum 9, the lethality of bright yang sword art was not lower than astral arrow. Astral arrow was an arrow that used up all his star power, but bright yang sword art was not. Although the energy consumption was higher, it could be used a few times. After this crisis, it was time for Wang Lan to make preparations for breaking through to the Star Sea realm. Wang Lan declined the military's proposal to send someone to send him back. Wang Lan took a plane back to Sioux City. The attack of the demons in Sony caused a lot of damage to Sioux City. However, Jade State was a strong country in infrastructure. When Wang Lan arrived in Sioux City, the construction teams in the 2 damaged areas were already in place. They would start work soon. Wang Lan's team of 4 gathered in the center of Sioux City. Where is Gong Feiyu? I only saw him once during the summer vacation and couldn't contact him at other times. Wang Lan leaned against the back of the chair and asked Su Xianwen. He is in the northwest. Didn't he say on the 8th that he was going to the northwest with his girlfriend to train? It's been almost a month, and he still hasn't come back. Come back? Do you really believe that he is going there to train? Don't tell me you don't know where his girlfriend is from. I haven't done any research. Did he go to his girlfriend's house? That's right. His girlfriend's uncle is from a Northwest Space Reclamation Command Center. With this relationship, Gong Feiyu will probably join the Northwest Space Reclamation Command Center in the future. I really don't know what this guy is thinking. Is our team not good? With XINU's strength and Wang Lan's Grim Reaper's physique, his future promotion will be as easy as riding a helicopter. Wait, what's the Grim Reaper's physique? It means that wherever you go, you'll be doomed. Damn, I will strangle you to death. Stop fooling around. Come, let's toast to Wang Lan's safe return and for us surviving this crisis. CSCC suggested. This incident was indeed dangerous. Just Sony alone was enough to destroy Sioux City. However, CSCC and her team did not participate in the entire incident. Hence, they did not know the true extent of the danger. Only then did they know that Sony was here. He was an expert that was on par with the 5 kings. After that, Sony died. He was beaten to death by the Azure Supreme the Arch. Wang Lan did not tell them that before Emperor Qin came, he had died once in Sony's hands. Cheers. On Wang Lan's side, glasses were clinking. Meanwhile, far away in Shanghai, a loud noise was heard from a research institute. Thick smoke rose. A group of scientists in white rushed out of the laboratory while coughing. The smoke behind them gradually dispersed. After waiting for a long time, when the danger alarm was lifted, the group of scientists in white returned to the laboratory once again. On the machine in the laboratory, a black square space-time gem was placed there quietly. Check. Yes. A few scientists picked up the space-time gem and checked it on the machine again. There are no cracks on the surface. The uneven surface is still at 0. 1 nanometer. There is no change in the internal structure. There is no change in the magnetic field. Lines of data appeared. The face of the scientist, who was obviously the leader of the team, could not help but turn ugly. What kind of material is this? It's so difficult to deal with. We have thought of more than 1,000 methods, but we still can't break it. We have even tried nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. The space-time gem is like a single atom. Teacher Ku, there is a reply from the particle collider. We can arrange it tomorrow. Okay, let's try the quantum collider tomorrow. Everyone, pack up and go back early to rest. We will go to Pooh River tomorrow. Okay, Teacher Ku. This space-time gem is really strange. Not only can it absorb energy on its own, but it can also form a crystal on the outside. If the space-time gem is the crystal of the space-time gem, then is it possible that there are space-time gems in all these space-time gem mines? Don't say that you have followed me in the future. The silver-haired teacher looked at the middle-aged professor in front of him and sneered. How come you are getting more and more knowledgeable and have forgotten the simplest common sense? When the refrigerator is working, even if there is no water, there will be frost. Why? Must you suspect that there is no water when you see ice? To put it bluntly, the space-time gem is a container that contains a high concentration of spatial energy. In the world we live in, spatial energy is everywhere. The space-time gem can condense the surrounding spatial energy into a space-time gem. It is the same principle that the refrigerator can freeze the water vapor in the air into frost. Yes. Teacher, don't be angry. I have overcomplicated the problem. The middle-aged professor hurriedly apologized. One must know that he was an authoritative expert in the field of energy science. When he walked out the door, he was respectfully addressed as doctor, professor, or teacher. However, in front of the old man, the middle-aged man still nodded and bowed like a grandson. This was because the old man in front of him was a doctoral supervisor. The middle-aged man's doctorate was obtained under the guidance of the silver-haired old man. The next day, the scientific team set off early. Along the way, there were armed police forces escorting them along the way. The strength of the Jade State in this world was much stronger than the country in his previous life. Not only did they not miss out on the Industrial Revolution, but they also did not miss out on the Renaissance. Therefore, their scientific and technological reserves were not weaker than any other country. Moreover, the Jade State could proudly say that their scientific reserves were accumulated by themselves. Unlike the White Eagle State, which relied on persuading scientists from other countries to join the White Eagle State to complete their scientific accumulation. There were a total of 7 quantum colliders in the world, and there were 2 in the Jade State. One was in Shanghai, and the other was in the imperial capital. The cost of each quantum collider was no less than 20 billion, and this did not include the cost of the early development and research. Therefore, it was said that every part of the quantum collider was made of gold, and every degree of energy consumed was equivalent to burning jade coins. The scientists skillfully installed the space-time gem in the quantum collider, and then carefully and patiently tested it. Since the space-time gem structure was similar to that of an atom, they could use the quantum collider, which was capable of crushing atoms, to see if it could cause any damage to the space-time gem. In the eyes of humans, the space-time gem was the source of evil. Without it, the demons would not have come to Sky Blue Planet and caused a war that lasted tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. Testing complete. Please instruct. Everyone, move to a safe distance. Everyone back off. Prepare for the experiment. Start. The machine let out a faint roar. Listening to the roar, Professor Ku felt a sense of unease. Particle acceleration complete. Prepare for collision. Boom! Suddenly there was a loud noise. A terrifying beam of energy shot into the sky, accompanied by imperceptible ripples that spread out in all directions. However, this phenomenon was not noticed by anyone present, because following this loud noise, the space-time gem emitted a terrifying amount of space-time energy. Even a Takashi Hoshi of the Astral Sea realm could not guarantee that he could escape unscathed from the space-time turbulence. How could a few scientists withstand it? Chapter 467. In a large shopping mall in the center of Sioux City, Wang Lan was pushing a shopping cart behind Jiang Xinyu with a bored expression. They had been shopping for 2 hours. Given Wang Lan's physical fitness, it was impossible for him to be tired. However, he was very bored. Wang Lan would rather participate in a battle for 2 hours than stroll around the streets for 2 hours. However, the two of them were going back to Shanghai in the afternoon, so Wang Lan could only patiently follow behind Jiang Xinyu. It was just August. Although there were still more than 20 days before summer vacation, Wang Lan's sense of belonging in Sioux City was gone now that his aunt had left. These days, he was either eating or watching movies with Jiang Xinyu and CSCC. He was also bored. Moreover, because Jiang Xinyu was there, CSCC seemed to be deliberately avoiding the two of them. Therefore, after thinking about it, he decided to return to Shanghai. He wanted to take advantage of this summer vacation to study the fourth-year subjects in advance and complete his plan to graduate early. Suddenly, a clear spatial fluctuation swept over. Wang Lan froze and instantly straightened his body to look to the east. "What's wrong with you?" Jiang Xinyu curiously turned back to look at Wang Lan. Wang Lan's vigilance just now was as if a war was coming. "You can't sense it?" Wang Lan asked doubtfully. "Sense what?" Wang Lan frowned slightly. The spatial fluctuation just now was very strange. It was not strong, but the distance it traveled was very, very far. Moreover, he could sense it, but Jiang Xinyu could not. This did not make sense. Jiang Xinyu was also a peak galaxy-grade expert. Although her combat strength was not as good as his, her realm was definitely on the same level as Wang Lan's. If Wang Lan could sense it, there was no reason why Jiang Xinyu could not. It's a strange spatial fluctuation. I have never felt it before. It's very far away. It should be in Shanghai or even further east. After saying this, Wang Lan quickly took out his phone and dialed Ming Ye's number. "Hello, Uncle Ming. Is Shanghai okay? What am I do? What's wrong? What can happen in Shanghai? I just sensed a wave of energy coming from the direction of Demonic City. So I'm asking if Demonic City is all right. Where are you now?" "Sioux City. F***CK off. You're in Sioux City, so you can sense the energy fluctuations from Shanghai? How strong was the energy fluctuation to be able to travel so far? If it was really as you said, would Shanghai still be fine? Don't be so surprised. Shanghai is very good. I'm fine. It's good that you're all right. Then I'm hanging up." A black bulletproof business car slowly stopped outside the Quantum Collider experimental base. The car door opened, and the silver-haired D. Lao got off the car with the help of the soldiers. "D. Lao." "Hello, old D. What's going on? How could such a major accident happen? Is there anyone injured?" D. Lao, 2 scientists died on the spot, and 12 were seriously injured. He had already been sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. But what? The quantum collider seems to be broken. The engineer who tested it just now said that the damage of the instrument is more than 80%. There's no possibility of repair. At this time, D. Lao arrived at the experimental base. The quantum collider, which looked like a giant dragon, seemed to have experienced an explosion. It exploded layer by layer, and some were even blown to pieces. Originally, we were experimenting with colliding atoms with the space-time gem today. The power of the collision was there, but it also triggered the strange energy of the space-time gem. The explosion came from the space-time gem. How's the space-time gem? Is it damaged? It's still not damaged. The space-time gem's uniqueness is beyond our understanding. I think that even if we threw the space-time gem into a star, it would still be intact. It can only be destroyed by throwing it into a neutron star or a black hole. Then let's stop this research for now. This accident happened because of my negligence. D. Lao leaned on his walking stick and let out a long sigh. In the midst of the ruins, a middle-aged researcher with messy hair and glasses as thick as the bottom of a beer bottle was staring at the data on the detector with a fanatical expression. The researcher looked like he was in his 50s. If he changed into a beggar's outfit, he would look very harmonious even if he was holding a bowl at the subway entrance. But to be able to do research here, which one of them was easy to deal with? Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of August. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu returned to Shanghai at the beginning of August, but the two of them were mostly holed up in their home in Phoenix Plaza. They studied the fourth-year courses, practiced various projects for the graduation exam, and went out to the night market at night. After returning, they were inseparable. This simple life was envied by others. By the time the two of them realized it, the day of school was already very close. "Xinyu, why don't you move out this semester? Ruiyun has graduated, and you're not familiar with the new students in the dorm. It's better to move out. Won't my mom know if I move out? Although she doesn't object to me being with you, it doesn't mean that she doesn't object to us living together. Then how about this? Your dorm is still open, but you don't have to move back to live, right? Isn't this openly seizing the school's resources? If you don't live in the school's beds, the new students will have to live in them. There's such a thing. One of the animals in my dorm moved out on the first day of school, and his bed is still open. I can count the days I lived in the dorm with my fingers last year, and I didn't see my bed being assigned to anyone else. Wanglan classmate. The ratio of male and female dorms in Shanghai Shibugakuin is 1 to 2. No problem. When the time comes, I'll just say that the third year was spent on internships, so I left the dorm. Wanglan, that bastard, in order to live a happy life, he used all kinds of methods and schemes. In the end, Jiang Xinyu couldn't resist his coaxing and nodded. Wanglan went to take a shower, while Jiang Xinyu wore sexy pajamas and laid on the bed, playing with her phone. Wanglan, the recent headlines are all about the murder of that Dr. Wen. It seems that this matter has become the focus of public opinion. When Wanglan came out, wiping his wet hair, Jiang Xinyu suddenly said, "A national scientist being killed at such a young age will definitely attract more attention than an ordinary person being killed. Plus, a doctor was hurt by a patient's revenge a few days ago. So the public opinion is like a powder keg that exploded." The Shanghai police superintendent announced that the case will be solved in 7 days. So it seems that they already have a clue. 7 days if they have a clue? Honey, come, let me help you loosen your shoulders. Jiang Xinyu's cheeks blushed, and she obediently sat in Wang Lan's arms, leaning on Wang Lan's chest. On August 31st, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu came to the school hand in hand to register. The first and second year classes were the most intense, and after the third year, internships would take up most of the class time. The school would arrange different internship tasks according to the strength of the school. Of course, there were also groups to participate in a certain support mission or guard mission. Anyway, the third-year students had basically grown up, and they could all take care of themselves. Student Wang Lan, a cadre of the student union, shouted from afar and strode over. Student Wang Lan, the dean wants you to go to the dean's office. Oh, okay. Then he said to Jiang Xinyu, who was beside him, "You go and register first. I will go to the dean's office." Okay. Wang Lan went to the dean's office and knocked on the door. After entering, he found that in addition to the dean, Di Lao, there was also Inspector Gao from the Shanghai police superintendent. Wang Lan, when did you return to Shanghai? Di Lao looked at Wang Lan with a face full of love. The current Wang Lan was no longer the young eagle from before. In the now grown-up Wang Lan, Di Lao seemed to see the shadow of Wang Ling. Wang Lan could even compete with Sony, which was Bird of Paradise. Soon, he would be able to replace Wang Ling's position and become the new legend of Jade State. However, although Wang Lan's fighting strength was enough, Takashi Hoshi's progress seemed to be a little disconnected from his strength. Although Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi's level was not bad, a strong person with a half-step astral soul was still only at the galaxy grade. This point seemed a little unreal. Di Lao, I have been back in Shanghai for almost a month. Oh, you came back so early? You didn't tell me? Di Lao said with some blame. Wang Lan could only smile awkwardly. I came back early to enjoy some free time with Jiang Xinyu. Why should I tell you? To be used as a strong man? It's like this. The superintendent has a difficult case. He has announced to the public that he will solve it within 7 days. However, there's still no clues, so he thought of you. Inspector Gao hopes that you can assist them in solving the case. Professor Wen's case. Wang Lan asked Inspector Gao. Yes, a burglary case. This shouldn't be too difficult for the superintendent of Shanghai, right? Yes. Originally, we also thought that it wouldn't be too difficult. However, after some investigation, we found that we had underestimated the situation. Burglars should be ordinary people, but this murderer is clearly not an ordinary person. He was able to sneak into such a high-security district without making a sound. Moreover, he was able to sneak into Professor Wen's house without making a sound. Although Professor Wen's house had lost a lot of money, The total value of the money was less than 100,000 jade coins. In the current era, thieves were almost extinct. Even the villagers did not use cash, let alone in a big city like Shanghai. If the murderer was a newbie, how could he sneak into Professor Wen's house without being caught by any cameras? And if he was a veteran with rich experience, why would he commit robbery and murder for a mere 1 or 200,000 yuan worth of property? There are no fingerprints or traces left at the scene. The murderer killed first and then went through the money. He was very ruthless. Professor Wen was killed before he could even make a sound. Moreover, we also found something strange. Professor Wen's eyes were open when he died. There was no pain, no anger, no fear on his face. His entire expression was dull, and his eyes were empty. The forensic team deduced that Professor Wen's mind was in a state of confusion when he was killed. You're saying that Takeshi Hoshi imprinted Professor Wen's mind before he killed him? This is only a guess. We have no evidence to prove this guess. Therefore, we can't hand it over to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Last time, your speed and methods of solving the case amazed us. Therefore, when we realized that the case was difficult, we thought of you immediately. Chapter 468. Wang Lan, since the superintendent has requested it, you should help them with the investigation. After all, Dr. Wen was invited by me to participate in the research, Di Lao said faintly. Wang Lan was willing to listen to Di Lao's words. All right, I'll report to the superintendent tomorrow. At that moment, Inspector Gao's phone suddenly rang. Hello, it's me. In front of Wang Lan and Di Lao, Inspector Gao was very low-key and intimate. However, as soon as he answered the phone, his imposing manner instantly hit them in the face. Although Inspector Gao did not put his hands on his hips, his imposing manner and demeanor were very compatible with the image. What? Another one dead? Okay, you guys keep the scene under control. Hearing Inspector Gao's words, Wang Lan could not help but frown. When Inspector Gao put down the phone, Wang Lan quickly asked, Inspector Gao, is there a new case? Another scientist has been killed. I can't tell you the details over the phone. Colonel Wang Lan, why don't we go and take a look together? Originally, Wang Lan had planned to take over the case the next day. However, since there was a new case and the murderer was still committing crimes, Wang Lan could not delay. Immediately, Wang Lan got into Inspector Gao's car and headed to the Shanghai Engineering College. The Shanghai Engineering College was also one of the 50 key universities in Jade State. It was one of the top universities in Jade State in terms of engineering, materials science, and mechanical engineering. The most famous one was the Railway Engineering College. It could be said that the Shanghai Engineering College had paved the way for the miracle of Jade State's high-speed rail network. After entering the engineering college, they saw a crowd gathering in the direction of the dormitory building in the distance. Many people from other places were also rushing in that direction. This is the teacher's dormitory building. Who is the victim? Professor Dai, a doctoral supervisor in polymer materials. His students are all over the world. Many authoritative professors in the academic world are under his tutelage. With his prestige and ability, he could have been a lifelong honorary professor at any of the 4 universities. However, Professor Dai has been in the engineering college for a lifetime and has developed feelings for it. In his words, teaching anywhere is still teaching. That's why he stayed. Inspector Gao and Professor Dai knew each other before. How do you know so much? You don't know. After Wang Lan asked this question, Inspector Gao looked at Wang Lan in surprise, as if it was a miracle that Wang Lan could ask this question. Do I have to know? Professor Dai is a celebrity professor in Sorcery City. Anyone from Sorcery City would know about him. All right. The car stopped, and Wang Lan was led into the teaching building by Inspector Gao. Professor Dai was not the only one who died at the scene. There was also a female student who was about 30 years old. Professor Dai was lying on the bookshelf behind him, and the female student was lying on the ground with a pool of blood on the ground. Wang Lan squatted down, untied the girl's collar, and touched the back of her head. All the blood flowed out of the victim's mouth. The back of the head was undamaged. The murderer used a sharp weapon to stab the victim from the mouth, all the way to the brain, causing instant brain death. Officer Wang Lan, Professor Dai was choked to death by a rope around his throat, a guard said softly. There was a basin in the room, and there were burning ashes in the basin. The murderer's intention was very obvious. He wanted to destroy some information. What was Professor Dai researching recently? Professor Dai researched a lot of things, and this year he only taught one doctoral student, Wu Xiaoyu. I'm afraid only Wu Xiaoyu knows what Professor Dai has been researching recently. Of all the research projects that we know of, none of them could bring him a fatal disaster. A school leader said with a nervous expression. By the way, is there any relationship between Professor Dai and Professor Wenwen? Wang Lan suddenly asked. After all, 2 professors had been killed in a short period of time. Wang Lan had enough reason to suspect that these 2 cases were related. Wenwen, I know. Wenwen was a student taught by Professor Dai. Professor Dai taught 12 top scientists in various fields in his lifetime. Wenwen's research on waves is the best in the world. But I listened to Wenwen yesterday. At this point, the school leader's face suddenly changed. This is a serial murder? It's very likely. Has Professor Wenwen been looking for Professor Dai recently? I'll check the surveillance now. The traditional surveillance method was too inefficient. How could it compare to Xiao AI's efficiency? Wang Lan directly asked Xiao AI to enter the surveillance system and do 100 times faster search. In less than a minute, she found that Professor Wen had come to the engineering school more than once to look for Professor Dai in the past month. Sure enough, it's related to Professor Wen. What has Professor Wen been researching recently? Or what has he been doing? Inspector Gao's face was a little hesitant. Inspector Gao, you boasted that you would solve the case in 7 days. A day has already passed. Don't tell me you don't know what Professor Wen has been doing recently and why he was killed? Well, at first we just thought it was an ordinary robbery and murder. It's only been a day, and we haven't investigated that quickly. In this regard, Wang Lan could only say, I'm impressed. Inspector Gao, Professor Wenwen was transferred to an independent scientific research institute in Sorcery City a year ago. We can go there and ask. A guard suddenly said. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. By the way, transfer Liang to me. I need an assistant. Okay, no problem. Inspector Gao quickly dialed the phone and reported to the chief. Currently, Liang's rank was the same as Inspector Gao's. However, Liang was in the Special Investigation Team. Inspector Gao was in the Criminal Investigation Team. Soon, Liang drove to the Sorcery City Engineering School. Before he had time to unbuckle his seat belt, the door of the passenger seat opened and a person got into the car. Brother, you got into the wrong car. This is a police car. Do you think I'm drunk? A familiar voice sounded in his ear. Liang paused and turned his head. When he saw Wang Lan, a silly smile appeared on his face. Team leader, why are you here? Come, follow me to the Haotian Science Research Institute. Okay, let me set up the navigation. I don't know this place. Liang said as he set up the navigation. Captain, this case was originally Inspector Gao's. I was wondering why he suddenly asked me to assist in the investigation. It seems like you're in charge. You didn't know that Inspector Gao asked me for help? Not only did I not know, but our chief also didn't know. Don't you know Inspector Gao? He's a shrewd monkey. He knows what the team leader is capable of. He asked you to help with the investigation when it was a little difficult. In the end, the case was solved, and he still got the credit. Stop complaining. Are you done yet? F***CK. I can't find the address. Innovation Industrial Park, Building B. Okay, let's go. Innovation Industrial Park was not a district in Sorcery City, but the name of an industrial area. It did not occupy a large area, only 1 or 2 square kilometers. They drove to Building B and stopped under the signboard of the Haotian Science Research Institute. As soon as the car stopped, 2 young men in security uniforms hurried over. Hello, security comrade, you can't park here, and... Chief Wang Lan? Wang Lan looked at the man and woman in front of him. Their faces were somewhat familiar. You're from the operations department? Why are you here as security guards? Did the Heavenly Sword Bureau take over? No. Our mission is to be security guards here. We've been here for almost a month. Sir, are you here to investigate? There are some things that I need to understand. Why? Is it inconvenient? We can't let anyone in without the director's permission. No one is allowed to enter unless they're scientists. Why don't you call the director? Seeing how secretive you are, I know that I didn't come in vain this time. Wait. If it were another department guarding, Wang Lan might have barged in directly. However, Wang Lan was his brother from the Heavenly Sword Bureau. He could not force his way in. He made a call. When Cheng Jinlong found out that he wanted to investigate the Haotian Science Research Institute, he immediately kicked the ball to Di Lao. This research institute was established by Di Lao. Without Di Lao's permission, he did not dare to let Wang Lan in. After waiting for about an hour, a commercial car slowly drove over and stopped behind Wang Lan. The car door opened, and the silver-haired Di Lao walked out. Director, you could have just given me the permission. Why did you have to come here personally? Wang Lan hurriedly said with a guilty expression. Ever since the battle with the ancient demon, Di Lao's body could not be tormented anymore. Even the doctor said that he should try not to move as much as possible. You guys stay outside. Wang Lan, come in with me, Di Lao said faintly and brought Wang Lan into the research institute. Wang Lan, this research institute has a very high level of confidentiality. Unless it's someone completely trustworthy, it's impossible to bring anyone in. What is the research institute researching? Is it the awakening potion? Wang Lan guessed. Isn't Wang Qi researching the awakening potion? Wang Qi alone is enough. We're researching the space-time gem you brought back from the Nation of Ice. Space-time gem? Di Lao, forgive me for being blunt. Although the energy in the space-time gem has been exhausted, who knows if it's a time bomb? If your research opens a space-time gate, it'll be a big deal. Yes, so we're not researching what the space-time gem is, nor are we researching its characteristics. We only have one goal in mind: how to destroy the space-time gem. Over the past year, we've tried close to 1,000 ways to destroy it, but its sturdiness is beyond my imagination. At the beginning of the month, we tried a particle collision. We accelerated the atoms to sublight speed before colliding with the space-time gem. In the end, the space-time gem was fine, but the quantum collider was directly damaged. At the beginning of the month? Was it the afternoon of August 2nd? Wang Lan suddenly asked. How did you know? When I was still in Sioux City, I suddenly sensed an energy fluctuation. The intensity of this fluctuation wasn't great, but its penetrative power was extremely strong. I thought that something had happened in Mo. So I specially called the Heavenly Sword Bureau to inquire. When did you break through? Di Lao suddenly looked at Wang Lan in shock. Break through? Break through what? I don't know. I'm still at the peak of the galaxy realm. You're still at the peak of the galaxy realm? Then how did you sense the energy fluctuation? The energy fluctuation emitted by the collision test couldn't be sensed by those who weren't at the astral soul realm. However, you're right about one thing. The penetrative power of this energy fluctuation is extremely strong. You're not the only one in Sioux City. There are more than 30 astral soul realm and half-step astral soul realm experts all over the world, and all of them sensed it. Even experts in alternate dimensions could sense it. You can even sense it in an alternate dimension. This energy fluctuation can be transmitted across dimensions. Chapter 469. It was no wonder that Wang Lan was so shocked. No energy fluctuation could be transmitted across space. Even Wang Lan's spatial phoenix form could only teleport within a space. The alternate space belonged to another space-time. Even if a nuclear bomb exploded, even if the alternate space was at the center of the explosion, it might not be able to transmit the energy of the explosion into the alternate space. Di Lao, I haven't even broken through to the Star Sea realm, let alone the Star Soul realm. However, I did feel this energy fluctuation. Di Lao, why are you here? Dean He, let me introduce you. This is Wang Lan, the child of Little Phoenix. This is the dean of Haiyuan Middle School and the director of Haotian Research Center. Wang Lan wants to find out more about something. Hello, Wang Lan. What do you want to ask? I want to ask what Dr. One has been researching recently. Although we are researching the same thing, the direction of our research is different. Every PhD candidate had their own research team. If you want to ask what we are researching, I can only say that we are researching how to destroy the space-time gem. However, if you want to ask someone what they are researching, I can't give you an answer. Right? I heard that something happened to Dr. Wen. Have you caught the culprit? No. I am here to find the culprit. Wasn't Dr. Wen killed for a burglary? Not at all. According to my speculation, it might be related to his research. Now that I know that you are researching the space-time gem, I speculate that the culprit might be a spy from the demons or someone from the birds of paradise. Moreover, you are all in danger. Is that so? Yuanzhong didn't show any signs of panic. He only replied with an understanding tone. It seems that I should increase the security level of the research center. Wang Lan, are you confident that you can catch the culprit? Di Lao asked worriedly. I don't dare to say that I am 100% confident, but I will do my best. Now, I have more or less an idea. The Haotian Research Center is researching the space-time gem, and the demons or the birds of paradise don't want you to research it. Therefore, they killed Dr. Wen, who lives in Mo Do. Dinhe, inform everyone that from now on, all researchers are not allowed to leave the research center. If they need anything, send it to the research center. If they want to contact their families, contact them via the internet, Di Lao said quickly. Professor Dai from the College of Engineering in Shanghai isn't from the Research Institute, is he? He's not. I originally planned to invite him, but he refused and recommended Dr. Wenhua, Yuanzhong said. But Professor Dai was also killed, and I found out that Dr. Wen had been contacting Professor Dai frequently in the past month. This might be the reason why Professor Dai was killed. Did Dr. Chun discover something? That's possible. After hearing Wang Lan's words, Yuanzhong suddenly said, during the last quantum collision, Dr. Wen seemed to have discovered a trans-space energy transmission wave. It was just that the wave-detecting instrument at that time was not very sophisticated, so there were too many impurities in the detected wave, and the frequency of the wave could not be extracted. Since then, Dr. Wen has repeatedly encouraged me to conduct another quantum collision. He used a more sophisticated instrument to extract the waves. How could I agree to this? Every collision would destroy a quantum collider. Do you know that one quantum collider costs tens of billions? Even if you sell me, you won't be able to afford it. Dinhe, you must be joking. What is a universal spatial energy transmission wave? The so-called universal space is not just the three-dimensional space we're in. The energy of any space can only be transmitted in one space, but Dr. Wen discovered that this energy wave can be transmitted across space and even latitude. Could it be that Dr. Wen has already extracted this wave? And this wave is very important to the demons, so they killed it? And Dr. Wen has been looking for Dr. Dai many times. Could it be that he told Dr. Dai about his findings, so Dr. Dai was also killed? I really don't understand this investigation. I really don't know what stage Old Wen's research is at. Why don't you ask Dr. Wen's team? He has his own research team at the University of Genoa. Okay, thank you, Dinhe. It's my pleasure. After bidding farewell to Di Lao and Dinhe, Wang Lan immediately asked Li Yong to investigate Dr. Wen's research team. That night, Wang Lan learned that Dr. Wen had 7 graduate students under him. He brought them back to the superintendent to talk to them alone. Do you know what Dr. Wen's latest research topic is? Yes, the extraction of the frequency of the trans-space transmission wave. How's the progress? Is there a major discovery? Wang Lan asked again. The girl in front of him looked at Wang Lan in confusion and then shook her head. No, miss, we're asking this question to find Dr. Wen's murderer. I hope you can cooperate with us, Li Yong said faintly as he crossed his fingers and supported his head. Our teacher was killed. Why aren't you looking for the murderer? Why are you asking us about the progress of our research? What does our research have to do with you solving the case? Of course it has something to do with it. Dr. Wen was killed because of your research. Your answer is related to our further identification of the murderer. No, the wave recorded by our teacher is too blurry. There are too many impurities in it. Moreover, the waves will interfere with each other. Once there is interference, there will be uncertainty. Frankly speaking, extracting the correct wave from such a messy and blurry waveband is like looking for a needle in a haystack. The only way is to do another collision test and use a more precise instrument to detect a clear wave. Hello, sir. To what extent is Dr. Wynn's research on the extraction of the transspace energy wave? It's still at the stage of looking for a needle in a haystack. You're asking if it's possible to extract it? I can only say that there are endless descendants. You're very naughty. Can't help it. Our teacher is even more naughty. This is obviously impossible, but he told me that if you don't forget your roots, you'll always succeed. This student seemed to have a lot of opinions about his teacher. Of course, it could be his personality. Recently, Dr. Wynn has been frequently looking for Professor Dye in the engineering school. Do you know what's going on? I don't know. I have to test more than 100 waves for my teacher every day. Where I have the time to care about this? Each student was questioned individually. Although these students had different attitudes, at least they were united in one idea. Dr. Wynn's transspace energy wave propagation had not made any breakthrough at all. It could even be said that it was an endless deadlock. Could it be that we're going in the wrong direction? Wang Lan could not help but think. Could it be that the murderer didn't kill Dr. Wynn and Professor Dye because they found something? If not, then what were the ashes in the basin at the scene of Professor Dye's murder? Those ashes should be some kind of paper document. Just when Wang Lan was at his wit's end, Liang suddenly knocked on the door of Wang Lan's office. Boss, this is the latest information from the engineering school of Magic City. What is it? It's a reply from the Nation of God. It turns out that before Professor Dye was killed, he had contacted the Nation of God and wanted to borrow their quantum collider for a quantum collision experiment. The other party agreed. Quantum collision experiment? An idea flashed through Wang Lan's mind. He recalled that Dean he had told him during the day that Dr. Wynn had requested to do another quantum collision test more than once. However, how could Dean he agree to that if a quantum collider were to be destroyed in one test? And this month, Dr. Wynn's frequent contact with Professor Dye was probably because he wanted to use Professor Dye's influence to conduct another quantum collision experiment abroad. Liang, did Professor Dye's information have any documents related to this request? Nope. If it wasn't for the reply from the Nation of God, no one would have known. Then I think I know what the burned document in the basin was. It was the application for the quantum collider. The reason the murderer killed Professor Dye was to stop this quantum collision experiment. Boss, I still don't understand. The quantum collision experiment is conducted countless times every year. Why would the murderer want to stop it? Besides, Jade State already has 2 quantum colliders. Why would they use someone else's? The reason is confidential. I can't tell you. But one thing is for sure. Dr. Wynn wanted to conduct a quantum collision experiment. Only his closest people knew about it. Even Dean, he didn't know about it. How could the murderer know? Then it could only be Dr. Wynn's student. If the people in the institute didn't know, then only his student knew. Professor Dye knew, so he was killed. His only student was also killed. But we've checked the video. Every time Dr. Wynn went to see Professor Dye, he went alone. If the murderer got the information from Dr. Wynn's student, then how did he know it was Professor Dye? First, the murderer might have secretly followed Wynn. Wynn went to the engineering school many times within a month. The murderer could guess that Professor Dye helped Wynn contact Professor Dye. Second, have you forgotten Dr. Wynn's state when he died? His mind was scattered. There was no pain or fear. It was probably a mental imprint. I understand. They got it from Dr. Wynn's memory. Boss, don't think about it. It's time for dinner, Liang said as he pointed at the clock on the wall. Wang Lan looked at the clock. It was almost 6 o'clock. It was the end of August. The sky turned dark later. It was still dusk at 6 o'clock. It might not even be dark at 7 o'clock. It would only be completely dark after 7 o'clock. Okay, I'm hungry. Shall we eat in the cafeteria or out? Your treat, Wang Lan asked jokingly. Sure, let's go. Forget it. It's not necessary. Eating out will only waste time. Don't. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been promoted so quickly. I haven't had the chance to thank you. Since you invited me sincerely, I'll be merciful and fulfill your wish. Let's go to City of Eight Immortals across the street. Okay, City of Eight Immortals was a comprehensive shopping mall. The most famous one was the gourmet restaurant. Because it was the place where celebrities clocked in, many foodies came from afar every day to look for food. Wang Lan also came to City of Eight Immortals twice. Once was with Jiang Xinyu, and the other time was with CSCC. Thinking about it, it was a bit of a waste. Are you kidding me? Do I have to line up at every restaurant? Forget it. Let's eat at the noodle restaurant downstairs. I think the noodles there are quite fragrant. That won't do. It's not easy to have the opportunity to treat you to a meal. How can I make a fortune with a bowl of noodles? Let's line up. Anyway, there's no hurry to investigate the case. It's just a meal. Before Liang finished speaking, Wang Lan's phone suddenly rang. Chapter 470. Hello, this is Wang Lan. What? Where are you? Okay, I'll be right there. After hanging up the phone, Wang Lan gently patted Liang on the shoulder. Forget it, don't bother. Let's go. Something happened again? Which doctor or professor is it? Liang's face instantly became gloomy and asked. It's not a professor or a doctor. It's our own brother. With that, he took Liang out of the City of Eight Immortals, rose into the air, and flew with Liang to the place where the incident happened. Here, by a lake in a remote park, two bodies had been covered with white cloth. Liang strode forward and gently lifted the white cloth. When he saw that the bodies under the white cloth were wearing guard uniforms, anger rushed to his mind. Damn it! With a punch, he smashed a stone slab beside him. What the hell is going on? After knowing that Wenwen was killed because of his research, the Bureau sent our brothers to secretly protect Wenwen's students. Just this evening, Chun Shiji received a phone call and then suddenly left. Two brothers reported to the headquarters and followed him. We lost contact with them at 6:30. We followed the location and found that two brothers were killed by the lake. The murderer was holding a sharp weapon and inserted it into the mouth of the two brothers, diagonally into the brain. The killing method is exactly the same as the killing of Professor Dai's students. It can be inferred that it was done by the same person. So, the demon spy is Chun Shiji. It's most likely him. What about Chun Shiji's whereabouts? I don't know. The Bureau is using all resources to search for him. We have introduced the Skynet system. As long as he appears under any camera, he will be identified by us immediately. Forget it. Wang Lan sighed. If he is the demon's spy, the Skynet can't find him at all. Since the demon spy can pretend to be Chun Shiji, he can pretend to be anyone. There were no traces of fighting at the scene. The two brothers were killed in an instant. From the remaining doubts on their faces, it could be inferred that they didn't even know how they died. Are there any witnesses? It's late. There are many mosquitoes in this place, so there are not many people playing by the lake after the sun goes down. Let's go back first and investigate Chun Shiji's background. Wang Lan and Liang hadn't eaten yet. They bought some food from a roadside stall to fill their stomachs before returning to the superintendent. It didn't take long for Chun Shiji's life information to be delivered to Wang Lan. Chun Shiji came from a poor family. His father had run into someone and killed him because he broke the law and became disabled. Because of the huge compensation for the accident, Chun Shiji had been living a hard life since he was young. However, Chun Shiji was smart and eager to learn. From elementary school to junior high school, he had always been the top student in school. When he was in the third year of junior high school, Chun Shiji was in danger of dropping out of school. Later, after the school learned about Chun Shiji's family situation, they took the initiative to waive Chun Shiji's tuition and miscellaneous fees so that he could continue his studies. After that, he was admitted to Genwa University with excellent results. Although his family's life had improved at that time, Chun Shiji still lived a very poor life. Moreover, years of poverty had made him very introverted. However, Chun Shiji was very handsome, so he still had a girlfriend during his university days. Others relaxed after entering university, but Chun Shiji didn't. He still studied hard during his university days and was finally chosen by Dr. Wenwen to become his graduate student. From information, Chun Shiji was a typical poor boy who turned the tide and changed his fate step by step through hard work. However, his introverted and dull character was also very suitable for a spy. It should be him. Wang Lan sighed after reading the information. He suddenly received a phone call. Someone must have told him that he had been exposed and asked him to evacuate. Did you find the phone? Found it. It was a public phone booth, but the camera near the public phone booth was broken. The owner of the kiosk didn't remember who called. It wasn't easy to find a clue here, but it was broken just like that. Wang Lan was somewhat unwilling. Have you checked Chun Shiji's communication records? Chun Shiji's interpersonal relationships are very simple. There are only 10 or 20 numbers, in addition to his parents, girlfriend, and his teachers and seniors' numbers. However, because he went missing, we couldn't get his phone to get more comprehensive information. What about his social media accounts? It's as simple as a blank piece of paper. Liang spread his palms. In this day and age, a spy can be so self-disciplined. He's considered dedicated. The next morning, Wang Lan arrived at Cebu Gakuen in Shanghai early in the morning. Although the case was not solved and the murderer was not found, there was a clue. He knocked on Di Lao's office. There was a middle-aged man in glasses in Di Lao's office. He was wearing a well-ironed suit and a pair of black-rimmed glasses. He looked very cultured. Wang Lan, let me introduce you. This is Professor Qian Shihua. He just came back from White Eagle. Qian Shihua is also Professor Dai's student. He received his doctorate at the same time as Wen and specializes in quantum theory. Hello, Professor Qian. Hello, Mr. Wang Lan. Your name is well known even in White Eagle. Qian Shihua's hand touched Wang Lan's and moved away immediately. This made Wang Lan frown slightly. Was he looking down on him? Professor Qian, go back and rest first. You can join the Research Institute in 3 days. By the way, did you come back alone? Do you want me to introduce you to a few postgraduate students? No need. I'll go to the engineering school to recruit myself. After all, I graduated from the engineering school. All right. Then, Director D, Mr. Wang, I'll take my leave. Qian Shihua nodded slightly and turned to leave with a smile on his face. Wang Lan's face showed a hint of displeasure only when Qian Shihua's footsteps disappeared outside the door. Are all people who come back from White Eagle so arrogant? He's a little arrogant, but he has the right to be arrogant. He received a double master's degree in theoretical physics and engineering materials at the age of 18. Then, he went to White Eagle for his doctorate and received his doctorate at the age of 20. He participated in White Eagle's Zeus project and Apollo project. He's the youngest and best scientist in the field of physics. Although he's immortal, he's on par with God. Even if your aunt is at the peak of her career, Qian Shihua's influence in the world is still on par with Wang Qi's. It's inevitable for people like him to be a little arrogant. I understand. By the way, you came looking for me so early in the morning because there's progress on the case. A little bit. It's confirmed that the demons are behind the death of Dr. Wen and Professor Dai. Professor Wen tried to conduct a second quantum collision experiment, so the demons killed him. Professor Dai, on the other hand, was the one who contacted the quantum collider and sent an invitation to the nation of God. The demons killed Professor Dai. From this point of view, Dr. Wen's suggestion seems to have hit the demons where it hurts the most. It's making them panic. So, it's necessary to carry out the second quantum collision test. It also confirms that Dr. Wen's suggestion that the universal space energy wave can be studied and that the demons are afraid of our research. That should be the case. The demon spy knew about Dr. Wen's research because this spy has been hiding by Dr. Wen's side. He's Dr. Wen's graduate student, Chun Shiji. Today, at around 6 o'clock, Chun Shiji suddenly received a call and left in a hurry. The 2 police officers who were responsible for protecting him in secret followed him, but they were killed by Hao Yun Lake. Chun Shiji's whereabouts are unknown. The demons really do exist in the demonic city. Di Lao sighed deeply. The demonic city had been peaceful for a long time, because there was the strongest Heavenly Sword Bureau and the strongest Cebu Gakuen. Di Lao and the others thought that the demon spy had no place to live in the demonic city. However, The discovery of the biochemical devil generals and biochemical devil soldiers in the base of demons last time shattered Di Lao's fantasy. But after the trolls were suppressed and the demon's base was destroyed, Di Lao and the others thought that the demon spy had suffered a devastating blow. But now it seemed that was far from it. That's for sure. Although the demon spy was dealt a big blow last time, the number of demon spy killed was not many. Other than the demons and the mythical demons, we only found one demon spy, and it was an ancient demon. That base is not something that can be built with one or two spies. The reason why the demonic city has been peaceful all this time is because they have hidden too deeply. Wang Lan, I believe in your ability. You're good at catching spies. Go ahead and do it. Catch all of them and clean them up. Yes. Then the superintendent should be able to announce the progress. 2 important professors have been killed. The public opinion is already very intense. Okay. After reporting to Di Lao, Wang Lan left the academy and returned to the superintendent. With the appearance of the demon spy, the case should be handed over to the Heavenly Sword Bureau. But the superintendent had already spent a lot of effort on this case and sacrificed 2 of his brothers. He would definitely be unwilling to hand it over now. So the Heavenly Sword Bureau stepped in, but the superintendent was not out. The Heavenly Sword Bureau, Wang Lan, and Li Yang set up a special investigation team. In one day, they collected all the information and evidence from the case and reorganized it. They hoped to find some overlooked clues that they did not find before. Officer Wang, Inspector Li, we have brought Chun Shiji's girlfriend. Huh? Who told you to bring her here? Since Chun Shiji is a spy, shouldn't you get some information from his girlfriend? Don't you need it? You don't need me to let her leave. Since she's already here, let's just ask. In the interrogation room, Wang Lan saw a girl with an impressive aura. She was wearing a pure white dress. Her expression was a little flustered, but she was able to maintain her composure. Such a girl. Wang Lan felt that something was wrong at first glance. Such a girl could definitely meet the standards of a classy beauty. And such a beauty would definitely have many suitors. Chun Shiji was a little handsome and talented, but his flaws were also very big. He was introverted and lived a boring life. He did not play games or socialize. He did not have a glib tongue, was not multi-talented, and was not rich. Which one of those who could go to Jinhua University was not a genius? Chun Shiji was outstanding, but he was not outstanding to the point that he stood out. Why did he have such a girlfriend? Chapter 471. Seeing that Wang Lan and Fang Qianqian did not speak for a long time, the beauty became anxious and asked directly, Officer, just ask me what you want to ask me. Are you Fang Qianqian? Yes. Are you Chun Shiji's girlfriend? We broke up a week ago. What's wrong? Broke up? Wang Lan was curious. Did he initiate it? Him? If only he had this bit of courage. I initiated it. But this is my private matter, right? What do you two want to ask? Is it related to Chun Shiji? Did something happen to him? Have you noticed anything wrong with Chun Shiji recently? Something wrong? No. Tell me, what's wrong with him? Fang Qianqian suddenly stood up and asked anxiously, Didn't you break up? Even if we broke up, he is still my ex-boyfriend. Did something happen to him? What happened to him? Do you have deep feelings for him? If I tell you, it might be a big blow to you. Are you sure you want to know? I am his girlfriend. I have the right to know. In such a short time, Fang Qianqian forced herself to calm down. Wang Lan's figure flashed and came to Fang Qianqian's side and grabbed her hand. Hey, what are you doing? Are you a hooligan? Don't shout. I just want to know if you're a spy for the demons. A spy for the demons? Aren't you filming a TV series? You must have heard about what happened in Sioux City not long ago on the news. Do you think this city is safe and the world is peaceful? A spy for the demons has always been by our side. Wang Lan said calmly and injected a stream of astral power. If the spy for the demons had been replaced by a Takashi Hoshi, the rejection test would have been useless. However, the spy for the demons had been replaced by an ordinary person. When the astral power entered, there would be a rejection, but ordinary people would not be rejected. After the astral power entered, Wang Lan let go of Fang Qianqian's hand. Sorry, I was rude just now. According to our investigation, Chun Shiji should be a spy for the demons. This is impossible. Fong Qianqian shook her head violently and stared at Wang Lan with widened eyes. How could he be a spy for the demons? But that is the truth. This afternoon, he killed 2 of our guards and disappeared without a trace. That's why I called you here, hoping to get some clues from you to help us find him. No way. How could he be a spy for the demons? He's a gentle boy with a kind heart. How could he be a spy for the demons? It's possible for anyone, Wang Lan said faintly. Even if they weren't in the past, demons can live in a person's body like parasites. Once they live in a person's body, it means that the original person is dead. How could this be? So, I want to ask if you've noticed anything unusual about Qin Shiji recently. No, he's a very quiet person, and he rarely tells me about himself. Last week, he said that he wanted to join his teacher's research institute. He told me excitedly that only the best scientists in Jade State can join the institute. He finally proved himself. Usually when I go out with him, I tell him about the things that happened to me, and he just listens quietly. His life is very regular. Basically, he follows his teacher to do research every day. Then, he goes back to the dormitory to call me and chat for a while. He goes to bed around 10 o'clock. After dating him for more than a year, I'm a little discouraged. Love, there will always be a time when the temperature will drop. Huh? You said that he wanted to join his teacher's research institute last week? Which institute? Is it the Haotian Institute? I don't know. He said that the institute is very confidential and he can't tell me. He also said that after he joins the institute, he won't have more time to accompany me. So, he specially asked me out to have a meal with him. Ha ha ha! What a silly and cute man. Isn't it the same whether he goes to the institute or not? Even if he doesn't go, how many times can I see him? We're in the same university, but we only see each other a few times a month. I look for him when I'm not feeling well, but he always says that he's busy. I finally understand what my mother said. Love can only decide the beginning of 2 people, but it can't decide the ending. It starts with talent, ends with estrangement, and ends with dullness. Hearing this, Wang Lan fell into deep thought. Chun Shiji actually wants to join the Haotian Institute? If that's the case, then he can't leave early no matter what. Wang Lan knew that the demons wanted the space-time gem. Didn't the trolls kill Cebu Gakuen for the space-time gem? As long as he joined the institute, he would have the opportunity to come into contact with the space-time gem. It could be stolen or colluded. Wang Lan sent people to follow him just to protect him. He didn't suspect any of the gentle students. Was it reasonable for him to leave in such a hurry? If he didn't join the Haotian Institute, it wasn't impossible for him to leave early. However, wasn't it a bit too hasty to leave at this point? If Chun Shiji wasn't, then why did he want to leave? The problem was that the 2 brothers who were protecting Chun Shiji were already dead. The scene he saw by the lake kept replaying in his mind. There were only the bodies of the 2 brothers by the lake. Chun Shiji had disappeared without a trace. Then, he deduced that Chun Shiji was a spy who killed the 2 guards and fled. Was he taking it for granted? Could it be that Chun Shiji was also dead? Miss Fong, you're Chun Shiji's girlfriend. Do you know who called Chun Shiji and made him leave immediately? Wang Lan asked carefully. 2 people. One is his teacher, and the other is his senior brother, Zhang Zhiliang. Sometimes, I wonder if Chun Shiji likes me or Zhang Zhiliang. Last night, Zhang Zhiliang asked him to help, but he ran away without saying anything. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't have broken up with him. Wait, you're living with Chun Shiji? Fong Qianqian blushed. Officer, that's private. No, I want to confirm Chun Shiji's nature. I want to know when was the last time you slept with Chun Shiji? Seeing Fong Qianqian's hesitation, Wang Lan immediately explained, previously, I suspected that Chun Shiji was a spy for the demons. However, the demons and us humans are not the same race. They can transform into us humans, but they will never have sex with us. This is a cross-species barrier. Fong Qianqian suddenly understood. The last time was last week, which was the day before Dr. Wenwen was killed. Wang Lan's eyes flashed. After a while, he stood up. Liang, let's go to Haoyun Lake. Night had completely soaked Shanghai. The city was lit up by the beautiful city lights. A large number of police cars drove to the place where the two brothers were killed. "Boss, let the brothers go down to salvage the bodies. You wait here. You guys are too slow. I have the water-type Takashi Hoshi skill. I'm faster," Wang Lan said as he walked slowly to the lake. Wang Lan stood on the surface of the lake like a feather. It was as if she wasn't standing on water, but on solid ground. Activating the water demon, Wang Lan's figure disappeared from the lake. In the water demon state, Wang Lan was water. He could appear anywhere with water. Haoyan Lake was less than 5 square kilometers. If the police went down there, who knew how long it would take them to find him? Soon, he found a long sarcophagus with stone pillars. Wang Lan instantly flashed and arrived at the sarcophagus. There was no mud or moss on the sarcophagus. It was obvious that it had not been underwater for long. Wang Lan grabbed the sarcophagus and gently lifted it out of the water. Boom! There was a loud noise and a splash on the lake shore. The guards on the shore were instantly alerted and quickly spread to both sides. With a boom, the sarcophagus fell violently, hitting the soles of the guards who were present and numbing them. With a boom, Wang Lan rushed out of the water and returned to the shore. The water stains on his body fell off like a layer of gel. His clothes and hair were not wet at all. "Chief Wang, open it and take a look." Several guards quickly went up and used their hands and feet. However, the sarcophagus did not move as if it was welded together. Wang Lan told them to spread out and slap the sarcophagus. Crack! With a crisp sound, the sarcophagus burst. When the gravel was removed, everyone understood that the sarcophagus could not be opened. It would be a miracle if it could be opened. The sarcophagus was cast in one piece. Not to mention that the lid was connected to the body of the sarcophagus. Even the inside was solid. After clearing away the gravel, there was indeed a corpse in the sarcophagus. The corpse was Chen Shiji, whom they thought was a spy. When demons replace people, hominoids will be eaten or assimilated. This person will only disappear completely and not leave a corpse. Now that Chen Shiji's corpse is here, it can only prove. What a cunning demons. They actually know how to frame people. Then who is the one who framed him? What's the benefit of framing Chen Shiji? Boss, I remember Fang Qianqian saying that Chen Shiji would leave immediately after receiving a call from 2 people. One was already dead at that time. Could it be Zhang Zhiliang? It's possible. I also learned about this from Wen's other students. Wen wanted to bring a student into the Haoyan Research Institute, and all the students thought it was Zhang Zhiliang. After all, Zhang Zhiliang had been with Wen for the longest time and had the highest achievements. However, Fang Qianqian said that Chen Shiji might enter the research institute. If Zhang Zhiliang is a spy, his motive is obvious. Call the brothers who are watching Zhang Zhiliang. What did Zhang Zhiliang do last night? Li Yang hurriedly responded and hurried to the side to make the call. About half an hour later, Li Yang came to Wang Lan again. The brother said that Zhang Zhiliang accompanied his wife to Jinxing Mall yesterday afternoon and had hot pot at 5 o'clock. During that time, he went to the toilet for about 15 minutes and then came back to continue eating. When Chen Shiji was killed, Zhang Zhiliang was still eating at the hot pot restaurant. He probably didn't have time to commit the crime. Zhang Zhiliang didn't do it. When exactly did Zhang Zhiliang go to the toilet? This, the brothers don't know. After all, the purpose of watching Zhang Zhiliang is to protect his safety, not to spy on him. So, the surveillance level isn't that strict. He had dinner at 5 o'clock. Did he leave halfway, or did he eat for a long time? It should have been more than half an hour. Chapter 472. More than half an hour. Wang Lan pondered. Let's go to Xingjin Mall. It was almost 10 o'clock at night. Even though Shanghai was known as a city that never slept, many malls would still close at around 10 o'clock. There were very few people in Xingjin Mall. The cleaners had already started cleaning before closing. Suddenly, more than 10 people in black uniforms rushed in, attracting a lot of attention. The security guard saw that Wang Lan and the others were not in a good mood, so he quickly called the security manager and the person in charge of them all. Just as Wang Lan and the others were taking the elevator to the third floor, the security manager and the person in charge of the mall strode over. "Gentlemen, Shanghai Heavenly Sword Bureau Headquarters." Wang Lan took out his ID and handed it to them. Both of their faces changed drastically. "It's okay, we're just looking for clues. We won't disturb you," Wang Lan said, and ignored the two who were obviously frightened. He walked up to the fourth floor. The fourth floor was the gourmet restaurant. Almost all the restaurants were on the fourth floor. The security guard said that before Zhang Zhiliang went to the fourth floor to eat, he and his wife did not leave their site until Zhang Zhiliang went to the washroom during dinner. "Are you sure it's this washroom?" "Yes, but I'm not sure which one he went to," the security guard replied nervously. Wang Lan entered the washroom. The door was wide open, and the inside was very clean. It must have just been cleaned by someone. Wang Lan looked around one by one, and finally stopped at washroom number 3. There was a vent above washroom number 3. The vent was not big, less than 30 centimeters wide. Normally, it would be impossible for an adult to get out of there. Wang Lan's body floated up slowly and came to the vent. He reached out and touched the tile of the vent. It's so clean, it's like it was just cleaned. Then, Wang Lan took out his phone and opened the map. When he zoomed in on the map, his eyes flashed. "That's right, this phone call should be made by Zhang Zhiliang," Wang Lan said to Li Yang. "The direct distance from here to the public phone is only 2 kilometers. 15 minutes is enough for Zhang Zhiliang to make the call and come back safely." "Boss, should we arrest Zhang Zhiliang now?" "No, don't move. Since we've already locked onto a target, let's cast a long line to catch a big fish." Wang Lan immediately left Shengjin Mall with his men. Before leaving, he didn't forget to warn some managers to pretend that they had never been there. Back at the superintendent's office, Wang Lan called the task force over and made a task arrangement together. "Zhang Xiao, you're responsible for sending someone to monitor Zhang Zhiliang 24/7. No matter where he goes, what he does, make sure he doesn't leave your sight for even a second. But at the same time, you must pay attention to your concealment. If there's a risk of being exposed, then you would rather give up the surveillance. If he shows any signs of escaping, inform me immediately to arrest him. Ning Cheng, you are responsible for investigating all of Zhang Zhiliang's social media accounts, phone calls, text messages, online chats, web pages he visited, and so on. In any case, as long as he is involved in any contact with the outside world, you will investigate it for me. Liang, you're in charge of investigating all of Zhang Zhiliang's interpersonal relationships. Understood. Get to work. Wang Lan didn't even look at the time. It was almost 12 o'clock. He directly gave the order. They were all Takashi Hoshi. How could they be so delicate? Wasn't it just a few days and nights without sleep? They wouldn't die if they didn't sleep. The next morning, the work was carried out in an orderly manner. Those who were monitoring, and those who were looking for clues were looking for clues. "Leader, I found something." A Celestial Sword Special Service came to Wang Lan and said, "What?" Yesterday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, he ordered 2 rolls of garbage bags online. Garbage bags? Wang Lan looked at the other party in surprise. Is it suspicious to buy garbage bags online? Wait, when did you say? Yesterday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. At that time, the 2 of them were shopping in the mall. It's not convenient to buy garbage bags, so why buy them online? Yes, this move is very suspicious. Find out which shop he placed the order in. Where is it? I've checked. The other shop is in Shanghai, but for the specific location, we need to go to a Bao company to retrieve their registered merchant information. I'll go now. No, I'll do it. Wang Lan quickly tapped on the computer. Xiao AI, who received the order, instantly acted. In less than 5 minutes, the results of the investigation came out. The Calming District in the Eastern District of Shanghai is only 3 kilometers away from Lake Haoyun. Interesting. Demon spies communicate through online shops. After finding the direction, of course, everyone worked hard and quickly found the address of the online shop that sold daily necessities. They lived in a high-end residential area. To be able to own a house in a high-end residential area in Shanghai meant that their family background was very good. Regardless of whether she was a businessman or a senior executive of a company, an online shopping store that sold daily necessities instead of cosmetics was simply unheard of. It didn't seem appropriate. Look, it's 5 o'clock. The two of them left. In the video surveillance, the two of them hurried out and drove away. As the camera tracked them, they left the surveillance camera when they entered the Lake Haoyun area. However, from his point of view, the two of them were very suspicious. After that, they left and returned home at around 6 o'clock. Then, Zhang Zhiliang's order was accepted and shipped out. Leader, should we arrest them? Li Yang and the rest of the team looked at Wang Lan eagerly. Wang Lan lowered his head and pondered. After a while, he made up his mind. Let's keep them for the new year. Arrest them. Arresting 2 demon spies did not require a lot of manpower. If not for the opportunity to give his subordinates a chance to make a contribution, Wang Lan would have done it even faster. The group changed into the security guard's uniform and went straight to the targeted residential area. Wang Lan and the rest already knew the target's identity. They lived in Block 31, room 2504. After taking the elevator to the 25th floor, Wang Lan sensed that there was someone in the house. Ding dong, ding dong. Who is it? Neighborhood security, resident registration. Are you crazy? We didn't rent the house. We bought it. An impatient voice sounded from inside the house. Just as he reached the door, before he could look outside through the peephole, the door suddenly shattered. The man behind the door retreated in a flash. Before he could understand what had happened, Wang Lan's figure was already in front of him, grabbing the man's throat. Electric arcs flashed, not giving the man any time to breathe. He was subdued in an instant. At this time, a naked woman rushed out of the room. The demons thought that Wang Lan and the rest would look away or close their eyes when they came out like this. Perhaps she thought too much. Almost instantly, the masters of the Heavenly Sword Bureau attacked. Seeing that her strategy was ineffective, the woman stopped pretending. She tore off her disguise and turned into a 2-meter-tall demon spy in the blink of an eye. At this time, the male spy in Wang Lan's hands had also reverted to his original form in Wang Lan's hands. His soul orb was also sealed. Wang Lan loosened his grip gently. The demon's body slowly fell to the ground. Wang Lan had already appeared beside the female demon spy before her body had even landed on the ground. She had already placed her hand gently on the other party's shoulder. What? So fast. Wang Lan's speed was beyond the female spy's imagination. She originally thought that Wang Lan was able to take down her companions instantly because she had caught them off guard. After all, the people in front of her were just guards, not special agents of the Heavenly Sword Bureau. Although she knew that there were masters among the guards, how strong could they be? As long as she was given a chance, she could take her companion away. But because of that wrong judgment, even she couldn't escape. Electric arcs flashed and instantly invaded the female spy's body, sealing her soul orb. A few seconds later, the female spy accompanied her companion like a dead fish. You guys stay here. I'm going to make a mental imprint on the two of them. Don't disturb me during this time. After Wang Lan finished speaking, he grabbed the male demon spy. The star power around him rippled and instantly invaded the spy's mind. After about 10 minutes, Wang Lan completed the mental imprint on the two of them. All right, it seems like there's no need for Zhang Zhiliang to stay, Wang Lan said calmly. Team leader, you found something useful? This is a complete underground spy team. Including them, there are a total of 12 people who work in private online shops. We contacted Zhang Zhiliang through the online shop. The identities of the other 10 people have been obtained. We can catch them all in one fell swoop. Their boss is Zhang Zhiliang. Further clues have to be obtained from Zhang Zhiliang. Zhang Xiao, go back to the Heavenly Sword Bureau and inform Director Ming to get ready to close the net. Liang, come with me to catch Zhang Zhiliang. Yes. Wang Lan changed into plain clothes and went to Zhang Zhiliang's house. He knocked on the door. Zhang Zhiliang's girlfriend opened the door. Zhang Zhiliang's girlfriend was a flight attendant. She was very beautiful. She was tall and had an outstanding temperament. She was indescribably attractive. "May I know who you are?" "We are friends of Dr. Zhang Zhiliang." "May I know if Zhang Zhiliang is at home?" "He just went out. Shall I call him?" The other party said politely as she took out her phone and dialed a number. But at this moment, Wang Lan suddenly attacked Zhang Zhiliang's girlfriend with a finger. His finger pierced the other party's shoulder like a steel needle. Facing the attack, the other party suddenly fell on her back. Although she dodged Wang Lan's soul-destroying finger, she also dodged Wang Lan's thunder seal. Zhang Zhiliang's girlfriend sat on the ground in a daze. Her phone fell to the ground. She looked at Wang Lan with fear in her eyes. TCH. Blood gushed out of the shoulder that was pierced by Wang Lan's finger. The bright red blood was very eye-catching. "Ah, murder!" The other party suddenly screamed with a pale face. Instantly, the family that had just walked out of the elevator was alerted. "Stop screaming. You've lived with Zhang Zhiliang for so long. Do you think you can fool me?" Wang Lan sneered and interrupted the other party's performance. "Demons will never cohabit with humans. In the eyes of demons, humans are food. The fact that you're still alive now only proves that you're a demon." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Lan instantly attacked again. The woman's figure also flashed the moment Wang Lan attacked, but her speed was no match for Wang Lan's. In an instant, Wang Lan's palm clasped her forehead. Oh no! Wang Lan's expression changed drastically. This woman was going to self-destruct. And at this time, Wang Lan could no longer stop her from self-destructing. Without hesitation, the star power around him surged. Annihilation. Chapter 473. Annihilation was an upgraded version of the decomposition of all things skill. Wang Lan's astral power could not even last 3 seconds when he was at the early stage of the galaxy state. This was a powerful Takashi Hoshi skill that could melt everything into nothingness. Although Wang Lan's strength had reached the peak of the galaxy state, he could not last long with annihilation. He could only extend it from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. At this moment, the demon's self-destruction could not be stopped, and this was a densely populated residential area. Wang Lan could only use annihilation if he wanted to stop this tragedy. Instantly, thick, chaotic smoke rose from Wang Lan's hand and swallowed the demon spy's head. Ah! There was a short scream. The demon's head disappeared as soon as it came into contact with annihilation. Wang Lan pressed his palm down. Both the demon's body and the surging astral power in her body disappeared under annihilation. A few seconds later, Wang Lan put away annihilation. He staggered slightly, and his forehead was covered in sweat. However, his subordinates behind him were dumbfounded. In those few seconds, they felt like they were watching a horror movie. The demons in front of him seemed to have been half-eaten by the smoke. All that was left in front of Wang Lan were 2 long, pitch-black legs covered in spikes. Find out where Zhang Zhiliang went. Yes, Zhang Zhiliang's whereabouts were soon found through the Heavenly Sword Bureau's network. Sir, Zhang Zhiliang seems to have gone to the Haotian Research Institute. Let's go. Wang Lan did not hesitate and went straight to the Haotian Research Institute. In the Haotian Research Institute, Zhang Zhiliang was chatting with He Yuanzhong in his office. Little Zhang, what is the Haotian Research Institute researching? You've heard from your teacher, right? This. Dini, I don't know. I only know that the research that my teacher assigned to us is related to energy. Most of it is to test the strength of energy. In the past month, he had arranged for us to extract energy waves from space. But before we could make any progress, teacher was killed. Yes, the thing that our Haotian Research Institute is researching is called the space-time gem. It's a treasure that the demons use to open a space-time tunnel to invade our human race. If we can study this thing thoroughly and find a way to interfere with it, perhaps the demons will never be able to invade us again. This research concerns the life and death of the entire human race. So powerful? It's my honor to join the Haotian Research Institute. You are old one's proud disciple. I remember that his research needs his disciple to continue. So, I made an exception and recruited you. You have the least experience in this research institute. Remember, Watch more, think more, learn more, and don't talk too much. Understood. Come, follow me. I'll introduce you to the various organizations and the experts in various fields. Zhang Zhiliang followed He Yuanzhong out of the office. Just as they entered the research area, a group of people walked towards them. Zhang Zhiliang's eyes fell on Wang Lan and scrutinized him for a long time. Meanwhile, Wang Lan also walked straight over. Wang Lan, why are you here? He Yuanzhong stopped and asked. As soon as he finished speaking, He Yuanzhong's vision suddenly changed. At that moment, Wang Lan used the dance of the held butterfly to fly to He Yuanzhong's side and take him away from Zhang Zhiliang in an instant. Not even 0.1 seconds had passed from the moment he appeared to the moment he rescued He Yuanzhong. Even though Zhang Zhiliang had been sticking close to He Yuanzhong, he did not notice how Wang Lan had rescued He Yuanzhong. Wang Lan, what are you doing? In the blink of an eye, He Yuanzhong had been dragged away by Wang Lan. He Yuanzhong frowned and looked at Wang Lan in confusion. Dean He, Wang Lan saved your life, and you're still angry at him? A voice came from behind. He Yuanzhong looked at Zhang Zhiliang in horror. Suddenly, the expression on his face was replaced by fear. Zhang Zhiliang's skin was rapidly disappearing, and he slowly turned into the appearance of demons. Cold sweat instantly seeped out of He Yuanzhong's forehead, and a chill ran down his spine. Zhang Zhiliang was actually a demon spy, and he almost invited a demon spy into the Haotian Research Institute. So fast, really fast. Zhang Zhiliang looked at Wang Lan and shook his head while sighing. 3 days. You only took 3 days to find me. I originally estimated that even if the superintendent and the Heavenly Sword Bureau used all their resources, it would take them at least a month to find me. A month is enough for me to complete my mission and escape unscathed. After knowing that you were involved in the investigation, I overestimated you and had to bring forward my plan. I didn't expect that I still underestimated you. How could you? How could you be so fast? Not good. Wang Lan's heart leaped to his throat. Without hesitation, his figure flashed, and he slammed his palm toward Zhang Zhiliang's chest. It's too late. Accept the explosion. Wang Lan held a high-grade soul orb in his left hand, and the soul orb instantly shattered. Then, a cloud of thick smoke suddenly rose from his right hand. Annihilation, puff. There was a soft sound like the sound of a candle being blown out. Zhang Zhiliang looked down in shock and saw a cloud of thick smoke rapidly expanding in his chest. Zhang Zhiliang looked at his chest in confusion. The thick green smoke instantly destroyed his astral power and all the power he could mobilize. How is this possible? Chaos aura. Before he could finish speaking, Zhang Zhiliang's entire body was swallowed by the annihilation aura. After the thick smoke dissipated, there was no sign of the demon's spy in the void. Congratulations to the host for eliminating a complete demon spy group. The reward is 50,000 experience points, 5,000 skill points. The notification in his mind rang out, and Wang Lan's lips curled into a slight smile. It seemed that the brothers from the Heavenly Sword Bureau had finished their work. It was a pity that they couldn't capture Zhang Zhiliang alive and dig out the spy behind him, but they had to make a choice in the previous situation. He Yuanzhong was too close to Zhang Zhiliang. Even if Wang Lan could touch Zhang Zhiliang in an instant, he couldn't guarantee that He Yuanzhong wouldn't be hurt. At that time, Zhang Zhiliang and He Yuanzhong's positions clearly meant that He Yuanzhong was a hostage. However, the fact that the investigation had reached this point was already considered a full stop, even though it was not a perfect full stop. After returning from the Haotian Research Center, Wang Lan immediately reported to Di Lao. The director already knows about the previous case. We got the latest information from Chun Shiji's girlfriend, so we suspected that Chun Shiji might not be a demon spy. With the idea of giving a try, we salvaged Haoyun Lake. Sure enough, Chun Shiji didn't escape, but was killed at the bottom of the lake. Since Chun Shiji wasn't a demon spy, then the person who called Chun Shiji must be. So we locked onto Chun Shiji's senior apprentice, Zhang Zhiliang, and used Zhang Zhiliang as the starting point to find a complete demon spy, Wang Lan. A total of 14 people. I knew it was the right thing to leave this to you. You never let me down. Di Lao listened to Wang Lan's report and felt gratified. Then Di Lao, can I close the case? Yes. All right, don't go anywhere. I'll send you to the White Eagle Nation in 2 days. The White Eagle Nation? Why? To escort the space-time gem to the White Eagle Nation for a quantum collider experiment. Aren't we going to the nation of God? The Bishop of Wisdom and Professor Dai were good friends. Now that Professor Dai was killed, the nation of God might not agree to our request. Also, the nation of God isn't one of the 5 permanent members of the United Nations, so there might be some hidden dangers if we send the gem there. Also, Qian Shihua has connections in the White Eagle Nation, so he applied for a chance to go there for another experiment. Is that so? I remember there's a quantum collider in the capital, right? Why don't they test it so far in the country? Don't you know how to do the math? A collider costs tens of billions, and it'll be scrapped after one collision. Do you think the people's money is picked up from the ground? Di Lao looked at Wang Lan helplessly and smiled. Does the White Eagle Nation know? How can they know? Looking at the sly smile on Di Lao's face, Wang Lan solemnly gave him a thumbs up. Dean, you're so steady. After saying goodbye to Di Lao, Wang Lan returned to his home in the Phoenix Plaza. That night, a piece of news suddenly jumped out and caused a huge commotion. Latest hot news report. Just now, the Shanghai Police Superintendent and the Shanghai Heavenly Sword Bureau released the latest announcement. 3 days ago, the professor of Jinhua University was killed, which caused public indignation and heated discussion. Then, the investigation results of the incident of the honorary professor of the Magic Emperor Engineering College being killed in the dormitory have been released. The murderer of the 2 professors and scholars was the work of a demon spy hiding in Shanghai. Because Professor Wen-Wen's research made a huge contribution to our human civilization, this was something the demon spy didn't want to see. Fortunately, Colonel Wang Lan, a 4th-year student from Cebu Gakuen, known as the nemesis of demon spy, personally set up a task force to investigate. Within 3 days, the demon spy group was caught and 14 demon spies were killed, allowing the 2 scientists to clear their names. When they heard the news, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were eating, and they were both stunned. What's going on? According to past practice, the demon spy cases that Wang Lan solved would be generally skipped. Sometimes, Wang Lan's shadow wouldn't even be mentioned in the reports. But this time, Wang Lan's name was exposed, and all the major cases that Wang Lan solved were mentioned. What's going on? What's the confidentiality level? Is it fed to the dogs? Wang Lan subconsciously picked up the phone and dialed Ming Ye's number. Ming Ye's hearty laughter could be heard from the other end of the line. Ha ha ha! I knew you wouldn't be able to sit still and would call to ask, but I didn't expect you to call me first instead of Di Lao. There must be a reason for the higher-ups to do this, so there's no need to question them. I'm just asking you to find out what's going on. What's going on? Do you still remember the bureau chief telling you that you're the dark sword of the nation? Yes, and then? The dark sword is buried deep, only to be unsheathed and see blood. And from now on, it's time for the dark sword to be unsheathed. Wang Lan, you've grown up, and the 5 emperors are old. The nation needs a new era, and the people need a new hero. And you are it. Moreover, you killed Sunny from Bird of Paradise, and your name is already known to all the demons and birds of paradise. Since the enemy knows about you, there's no point in hiding you. From now on, you're the new guardian of Jade State, the god of war. That's what number 1 means. Understood. Wang Lan replied faintly. Hello. Why are you so calm? Aren't you supposed to roar to the sky and express your heroic words? Maybe 2 years ago, but now, I've already died once. So how can I be so Chinibyu? I'm always ready. I'm always ready, Ming Yi said in a low voice, and the 2 of them tacitly hung up. Chapter 474. Once the announcement was made, it caused a huge uproar. The world of Takashi Hoshi was mysterious to ordinary people. Takashi Hoshi was powerful but distant. For ordinary people, the world was safe and the Jade State was peaceful. Even if they calmed down and thought about it, disaster death, sin, and destruction were always around them, they would rather not admit it. I have never seen the rumors on the internet, so I don't believe them. However, not long ago, the turmoil in the skyscraper park shocked the world. The skyscraper park was bombed to the ground, hundreds of tourists died, and the incident was classified as a terrorist attack, which woke everyone up from their self-paralysis. The world was not safe. The lockdown of Shanghai, more than a year ago, could be used as an excuse, and the explosion at the bottom of the East Sea could be said to be a naval exercise. This time, the 100,000 tourists who survived the skyscraper park saw it with their own eyes. They couldn't say that it was a military exercise, right? Under the questioning of the people, the Jade State government admitted the existence of the demon spies and admitted that war could come to them at any time. Although this deepened the worries and fears of the people, it also increased their understanding and recognition of the government. However, it was the first time that the government directly announced the elimination of the demon spies and let the people know. They should have been more honest. We are not children. We can understand what the government did. Why did they hide it from us like we are children? But there are many idiots on the internet who are worse than children. Wang Lan. The name sounds familiar. I feel like I have heard it somewhere before. The person above is asking about this person. He has done so many things in only 2 years. Was he in a skyscraper park war last month? Damn, isn't this Wang Lan who became the strongest high school student in the history of Jiang province 2 years ago? Hey, isn't this the Wolf King of the provincial martial arts competition? It's him, the pride of Jiang province. From today onwards, you are the wolf god, forever a god. Last year, he even stopped the demons from coming. Did the wolf god save Sky Blue Planet? Look at this resume. In 2020, the wolf god defeated an ancient troll that had been sleeping for 3,000 years. I have some recollection of this. At that time, I was in Shanghai, which was being rebuilt after the disaster in Sibugakuen. F***CK. Is the announcement so short? Can't you explain in detail what happened? Just a title like this? If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have known that so many things had happened in the past. In addition to the comments under the official announcement, the trending topics immediately followed. At a glance, 4 or 5 of the top 10 trending topics were related to Wang Lan. It wasn't that they accused him of moral blackmail. They just thought that this person was a world-class scientist. But what did it have to do with Jade State? He wasn't from Jade State. But half a year ago, Qian Shihua had made up his mind to return to China. This decision was very sudden in Wang Lan's eyes. Do you want a cup of coffee? Jiang Xinyu asked gently behind Wang Lan. No, I feel good, Wang Lan said as he organized the information in front of him. Why? Is there something wrong with Qian Shihua? He is very likely to be a spy from White Eagle. The space-time gem might not come back after being transported to White Eagle. Space-time gem? What is that? Jiang Xinyu asked in confusion. It's something that can open the gate of the demon realm. It was left by demons in the human world. Because of the space-time gem, demons can open the gate of the demon realm and invade us again and again. I got the space-time gem during a mission in Ice Country. It's very confidential. It's normal that you don't know about it. I'm going to find Di Lao. Let's go together. It's time to go to school, Jiang Xinyu replied casually and turned to go out to change her clothes. After arriving at the college with Jiang Xinyu, Wang Lan immediately went to the dean's office. Although Di Lao was very injured in the last battle, he still went to school before 7 o'clock every day. Maybe it was because of the unwillingness in his heart. Dean, are you there? Come in, Wang Lan. Why are you here so early? Didn't I say that you would be given 2 days off to rest? Di Lao, the space-time gem can't go to White Eagle. Wang Lan went straight to the point. Once it goes to White Eagle, the space-time gem might not be able to come back. Huh? Hearing Wang Lan's words, Di Lao smiled like an old fox. I thought something happened. Do you think that White Eagle doesn't know about the secret of the space-time gem? We have shared all the information about the space-time gem with the United Nations World Security Committee. As one of the 5 permanent members of the United Nations, White Eagle also knows about the existence of the space-time gem. Back then, The five of us discussed it together and decided that we would take turns to study the space-time gem for a year. We have been studying it for more than a year and have reached the point where we can't delay it any longer. For the past 6 months, White Eagle has been protesting that we have violated the alliance agreement. Therefore, even without the quantum collision test, the space-time gem will be handed over to White Eagle next month for them to study for a year and then to Russia. Dilau, aren't you afraid that White Eagle will mess around? Would they dare? Opening the gate of the demon realm will threaten the entire human race. We are worried that they will mess around, but they are worried that we will mess around. Our position on the space-time gem is the same as White Eagle. Chapter 475. If that's the case, why did they arrange for Qian Shihua to come to Jade State? Wang Lan said as he took out the information he had sorted out last night and placed it in front of Di Lao. Although Qian Shihua has always said that he cares about his motherland, his actions don't match his words. He has made so many contributions to White Eagle, but he hasn't done anything for Jade State. Did White Eagle restrict him? No. These are all the statements and movements in the past 20 years that I have investigated. Many of the documents are confidential. He didn't show any signs of returning to China for a month before he said that he wanted to come back. How can we not be vigilant when he came back so suddenly? Di Lao put on his glasses and looked at the information that Wang Lan had taken out with a serious face. As he looked at it, Di Lao's face suddenly became gloomy. Where did you get these? I found them on the internet. Nonsense. How could you find their meeting notes on the internet? How could you find the scientific research plans and itinerary of a scientist like Qian Shihua? Although this information isn't available to ordinary people, it shouldn't be too difficult for the agents of Jade State to get it. Qian Shihua's return was a last-minute decision. He definitely didn't think it through carefully. What do you mean by a wish of 20 years? If he wanted to come back, he would have come back a long time ago. From his point of view, his motive for coming back isn't pure. But White Eagle has no reason to waste time on the space-time gem that was supposed to be sent to them. Or, Qian Shihua came back to steal our research? Di Lao, although this is possible, Qian Shihua is just a scholar. It doesn't seem to suit his profession. I originally thought that White Eagle wanted to get the space-time gem, and it wouldn't be a problem to use Qian Shihua as a channel. But if it wasn't for the gem, it wouldn't be possible for Qian Shihua to get the information. By the way, why did you decide to go to White Eagle for the collision experiment? Originally, we had an agreement with the Nation of God, but Professor Dai was killed, and the Nation of God raised their conditions. But these conditions were reasonable. They even proposed to send the paladins to escort them. But Qian Shihua happened to come. He said that since the space-time gem was going to be sent to White Eagle, why not do the experiment there? He then contacted the White Eagle Nation, and the White Eagle Nation immediately agreed. Immediately when the gem arrives in White Eagle. Next month. That's right. Is there a problem? Di Lao stared at Wang Lan with a solemn expression. Based on his understanding of Wang Lan would not be entangled in such an unimportant issue. If he was conflicted, then this question must be very important. If that's the case, why is this experiment not included in the Collider schedule for the next 3 months? Even if the mission is confidential, there should at least be a record of the experiment requested by Jade State, right? When Di Lao saw the information that Wang Lan had pointed out, he frowned even more. Indeed, it doesn't make sense. Unless White Eagle doesn't know about the quantum collision experiment. If that was the case, then Qian Shihua was indeed very suspicious. But what was his goal? To transport the space-time gem to the White Eagle Nation? That's not right. The space-time gem was supposed to be transported to White Eagle anyway. Qian Shihua has no reason to do that. Originally, Qian Shihua indeed had no reason to do this, but Di Lao's words allowed me to guess another possibility. Wang Lan frowned slightly and said, if Qian Shihua did not contact them, would the space-time gem immediately go to White Eagle? No. Since the Nation of God has already agreed, we should first go there to conduct the experiment. Then, according to the results of the experiment, we should consider whether to send it to White Eagle. After all, Dr. One Win's death has proved that his research direction may be what the demons are afraid of. So, Qian Shihua's goal is not to send the space-time gem to White Eagle, but to send it to White Eagle before the second collision experiment. Why? Wang Lan's eyes flashed. The space-time gem cannot be placed in the space equipment. Even my void storage cannot be placed in it. This makes it difficult for the demons to transport the space-time gem out of Jade State, even if they snatch it. What if someone snatches the space-time gem on the way to White Eagle? At this point, Di Lao's body trembled slightly. He raised his head and looked at Wang Lan with surprise. Even if we use all means to keep the flight route and departure time a secret, can we avoid Qian Shihua, who is one of the people in charge of this mission? Most importantly, the Jade State has more than just a plane to the nation of God. There are also ground cars and trains. But to White Eagle, we can only use a plane or a boat. After the incident with Sony, I think our first choice of transportation to transport the space-time gem is to go by land, right? Wang Lan's analysis was bold and imaginative, but it was self-justifying. So you suspect there's something wrong with that Qian Shihua. Whether he's a spy for the demons or under the orders of White Eagle, he should be under control. I'll call him to come to the school. Di Lao immediately dialed a number. In less than an hour, someone knocked on Di Lao's office door. Come in. Di Lao, you called for me? How's the preparation for the trip to White Eagle? Di Lao asked with a smile. It's almost done. Do you have any orders for me? This is Wang Lan. He's in charge of the safety of the space-time gem. Wang Lan came in front of Qian Shihua and extended his hand. I'll have to trouble Professor Qian to take care of me during this trip. I've never been a White Eagle, so I hope Professor Qian can bring me along. Qian Shihua smiled. That's what I should do. His hand touched Wang Lan's lightly and was about to let go. But this time, Qian Shihua did not let go immediately like the previous time. Instead, Wang Lan held on tightly to his hand. Qian Shihua's expression changed instantly. Last time, Professor Qian let go of my hand after a short handshake. I thought Professor Qian was too arrogant. But now, it seems like Professor Qian is afraid that I'll find out your secret. What do you mean, Colonel Wang? What secret do I have? Your secret is you're not human. Boom! A loud sound was heard and a cloud of smoke exploded in front of Wang Lan. Wang Lan instantly made a move and grabbed Qian Shihua. But this Qian Shihua's strength was beyond any demon spy that Wang Lan had encountered. He actually avoided Wang Lan's control in an instant. In a split second, Qian Shihua instantly rushed to Di Lao, wanting to control him. An afterimage grabbed Di Lao's cheek like a ghost, while Di Lao still looked at the scene in front of him with a smile. A held butterfly flapped its wings and appeared. In an instant, Wang Lan's figure appeared. The Zanpakuto had already been unsheathed and turned into a stream of light to cut down the afterimage. Boom! Qian Shihua's figure retreated quickly and instantly retreated to the corner of the office. At this moment, Qian Shihua had already turned into the appearance of demons. A diagonal wound appeared on Qian Shihua's chest. Although the fight just now was only for a moment, they had already exchanged at least 10 moves. Wang Lan left a heavy wound on Qian Shihua, while Qian Shihua could not even touch the corner of Wang Lan's clothes. I originally thought that we had overestimated your strength. Who would have thought that your strength was actually so strong? Your strength should not be inferior to the superheroes of White Eagle. However, you should not have profaned the space-time gem. This is our god race's sacred object. When you unravel the secret of the space-time gem, it will be the day of our god race's descent. Suffer the wrath of our god race. In White Eagle, the strongest fighting force was called the Heroes Club, and the Heroes Club gathered the strongest heroes of White Eagle. Among them, the titled experts were called superheroes. Qian Shihua touched the wound on his chest. The wound was quickly healing. But so what if the wound healed quickly? This was Shanghai Cebu Gakuen, and Wang Lan's strength was so outstanding. What was worse was that Wang Lan had already locked onto him. You talk too much. The moment Wang Lan's voice rang out, his figure flashed and disappeared. The hell butterfly exploded, and the flickering hell butterfly danced in Dilao's office. Qian Shihua's figure also disappeared in an instant. He moved quickly to avoid Wang Lan's mysterious appearance. Boom! Suddenly, a loud sound rang out from outside the window. Qian Shihua's face was filled with joy. The people who came to his rescue had arrived. This was a routine in White Eagle. If the brothers encountered a strong enemy and could not break free, they would create chaos nearby. The heroes of White Eagle had some sense of heroism. It was very easy for them to let go of the enemy in front of them in order to save the innocent. Taking advantage of this loud sound, Qian Shihua instantly broke through the glass and fled to the sky. Damn it! I will never come to Jade State again. Why should I clean up the mess left behind by the trash in Jade State? Void amethyst eyes. Instantly, the purple light in Wang Lan's eyes surged. Qian Shihua, who was flying in the sky, suddenly paused. The surrounding space felt as if it had been fixed. He turned his head stiffly, trying to understand what had happened. What entered his field of vision was a terrifying arrow condensed at Wang Lan's fingertip. No, the arrow turned into a stream of light and arrived in front of Qian Shihua in the blink of an eye. No matter how Qian Shihua tried to dodge, the arrow ruthlessly pierced his chest. After the arrow pierced his chest, the crazy energy wreaked havoc in Qian Shihua's chest. Boom! In the sky, a dazzling white light flashed and disappeared. In an instant, the sky was clear and a warm wind blew. The demons, who were creating chaos for Qian Shihua Underground, seemed to have chosen the wrong place. Even if they knew that this was one of the strongest schools in Jade State, they did not realize what the definition of the strongest was. In short, any random street sweeper might be a galaxy-grade expert. Any young and cute student could be a terrifying existence that could blow up a low-level demons with a punch. Almost at the moment when the destruction began, students rushed out from all corners. In less than a minute, more than a dozen demons, who had been sent to create chaos, were all suppressed. Looking at the corpses on the ground, a student union cadre clapped his hands and said, "I don't know what happened to these demons. Were they ordered to kill themselves by their superiors? Why did they come to the school to cause trouble? Looking at their posture, it seems that they are here to create chaos. With such strength, they dare to come to Cebu Gakuen and create chaos? As long as their leader still had a little bit of rationality, he would not have given such an order. Forget it, since they came so far to deliver their heads. Let's just bury them." Chapter 476. Destroying the Demon's Conspiracy. Reward: 50,000 experience points and 2,000 skill points. The system notification sounded in his mind. This alone was not worth the reward. Most of it was probably provided by the powerful demons, Qian Shihua. The Demon's Conspiracy also gave the Jade State a reason not to ship the space-time gem out of the country. No matter how much the White Eagle State criticized them, at least the space-time gem was safe in the Jade State. Who knew what would happen to the White Eagle State? If a scientist who was the national idol of the White Eagle State was a spy for the demons, how many people were hiding in the White Eagle State? Who knew if the White Eagle State could protect the space-time gem? And this was something that the diplomats had to deal with. After Wang Lan settled this matter, she left with success. The third-year studies mainly focused on actual combat practice. Most of the theories were learned. Unless there were special circumstances, the Wasteland Reclamation Space was a must. Even the top graduates of the 4 universities of Cebu Gakuen had to go to the Wasteland Reclamation Space. However, the departments in which they went to the Wasteland Reclamation Space were definitely different. For example, if the Wasteland Reclamation Space was a construction site, then the students of the 4 universities of Cebu Gakuen would be recruited by real estate developers. They would be in the middle and upper levels of power in the Wasteland Reclamation Space. The Wasteland Reclamation team was similar to migrant workers. They were entrusted with tasks by their superiors and carried them out. The Wasteland Reclamation Space was based on strength. If they performed well, they would be recognized by the Wasteland Reclamation Space Command and be officially established. However, 90% of Takashi Hoshi belonged to the Wasteland Reclamation Team. It was obvious that a 10-person team could be called a Wasteland Reclamation Team. In October, Wang Lan was assigned by the school to practice in the 5 Wasteland Reclamation Spaces like most of his classmates. Wang Lan used his connections and assigned Jiang Xinyu to the same Wasteland Reclamation Space. The Yunhai Reclamation Space was located in the southwest of Jade State and west of Shuzhou. This Wasteland Reclamation Space had the most complicated landforms of the 5 Wasteland Reclamation Spaces. It was not only a Wasteland Reclamation Space, but also the entrance to Jade State. Yunhai Province was close to the Golden Triangle and bordered many East Asian countries. The people were tough and the society was complicated. However, due to the large number of Takashi Hoshi stationed in Yunhai, the security in Yunhai had been pretty good these past few years. Leader Wang, this is the latest order from the headquarters. A Nebula Takashi Hoshi in camouflage uniform hurriedly ran to Wang Lan. After saluting, he handed the military order to Wang Lan. Push 100 kilometers to the west and guard the ice cliff. Wang Lan looked at it and pondered for a moment. He then nodded and put away the mission instruction. The command center is really generous. Leader, it's 100 kilometers. That should be enough for a long time, right? The Takashi Hoshi in front of him was Zhou Jianfei, nicknamed Black Skin, because his skin was really dark, the same color as a black-skinned watermelon. Although his skin was dark, his personality was very gentle. Black Skin showed a simple and honest smile, looking at Wang Lan with eyes full of admiration and trust. Wang Lan came to Yunhai for an internship 3 months ago. Only Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were assigned to the toughest southwest region. This region was called the Wilderness by the Yunhai reclaimers. The exotic beasts here were fierce and powerful, but there were not many of them. There are no tribes like in other places. In addition to the complicated terrain, it became a battlefield that was very suitable for exotic beasts to fight. In the past, the Takashi Hoshi stationed here did not dare to sleep with their eyes closed. No one knew if an exotic beast would secretly lick their face while they were asleep. Wang Lan did not tell them that he was an intern at Cebu Gakuen at first. He only said that he was a newcomer to the Takashi Hoshi and was assigned to the Wasteland Reclamation Team. At first, Black Skin and most of the Takashi Hoshi thought that he was a burden. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were just as they had guessed, doing logistics work and familiarizing themselves with life in the Wasteland Reclamation Team. Until one time, a Wasteland Reclamation Team was ambushed by a powerful exotic beast. Only 3 of them returned, and 2 of them were seriously injured. Wang Lan exposed his identity as a medical Takashi Hoshi. Which of the old Takashi Hoshi, including Black Skin, wasn't knowledgeable. However, none of them had seen such a powerful medical Takashi Hoshi before. In less than 10 seconds, the 2 half-dead men were revived with full health. Black Skin could never forget the shock he felt at that time. The baby soldier he thought was a burden turned out to be a treasure. Wang Lan's status instantly rose. He was recruited by this Wasteland Reclamation Team branch and was specially appointed as the captain of the medical team. Actually, the medical team only consisted of Wang Lan alone. Including Jiang Xinyu, there were 2 of them. However, the shock Wang Lan gave them did not stop there. The next day and the 3rd day, the Takashi Hoshi who went out to scout suddenly realized a problem. They had not been attacked by exotic beasts for 3 days, let alone an attack. There wasn't even a shadow of an exotic beast. There were only 2 possibilities for such an anomaly. Either the exotic beast had left for a new place, or the exotic beast had hidden itself and was planning to give the camp a ruthless attack. Just as everyone was wondering where the exotic beast had gone, one night, a Wasteland Reclamation Team lost their way in the complicated terrain and accidentally went in the opposite direction of the camp. Later, they were alerted by the commotion of a battle in the distance. The team decided to follow them quietly to see what was going on. What they saw scared the Wasteland Reclamation Team so much that their faces turned pale. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were camping at the entrance of a canyon, sweeping through the hordes of exotic beasts outside. With a single Takashi Hoshi skill, a large number of exotic beasts were killed. The Wasteland Reclamation Team couldn't bear to see the efficiency of the slaughter. After watching for a while, the Wasteland Reclamation Team retreated quietly. In just half an hour, at least 50 to 60,000 exotic beasts were killed by Wang Lan. It was no wonder the exotic beasts in the canyon had gone extinct. Wang Lan was already clearing the dungeon outside the canyon. How could the exotic beasts in the canyon survive? This time, when Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu returned to the camp, the entire Wasteland Reclamation Team was waiting for them outside. Wang Lan had naturally expected this. How could the Wasteland Reclamation Team hide their approach from Wang Lan's senses? Wang Lan had no intention of hiding from the others, either. The main reason was that their levels were too far apart, so they couldn't play together. Since the Wasteland Reclamation Team in the camp already knew, then so be it. It didn't matter. Wang Lan didn't intend to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. He wasn't the kind of person who liked to act cool. It was just that the relationships between the Wasteland Reclamation Teams were much more complicated than he imagined, especially in a remote wasteland reclamation space like Yanhai. Although they all belonged to the same wasteland reclamation space and listened to the same command, the Wasteland Reclamation Teams were like the gangs in wuxia novels. While wiping out exotic beasts and guarding the Wasteland Reclamation space, they were also scheming against each other. There were a few dozen camps scattered around the Wasteland Reclamation area, and each camp had a dozen or so Takashi Hoshi teams belonging to different factions. They hugged each other tightly, holding on to their own benefits, but also eyeing the meat in the mouths of others like wolves. In this area, missions would come floating in like snowflakes every day. Some of these missions were simple, some were dangerous, some had little rewards, and some were simple yet had high rewards. Not only did they have to recognize their own strength and accept missions that were within their capabilities, but they also had to compete with other Wasteland Reclamation Teams for missions that they had their eyes on. When necessary, they even had to use force to solve the problem. Takashi Hoshi teams were born warriors. Their belligerent nature was engraved in their bones the moment they awakened. Wang Lan once heard that in the alternate space, some Wasteland Reclamation Teams would hunt other Wasteland Reclamation Teams. Although this kind of behavior was rare, it still existed. As long as there were benefits, there would be disputes. In a Wasteland Reclamation space where there were no legal restrictions, it was normal for people to take risks for benefits. Because of this, Wang Lan didn't fit in with them when he first arrived. It was unlike the time when he went to Donghai Wasteland Reclamation Space to provide support. Because there were acquaintances and there was only one Wasteland Reclamation Team, Wang Lan almost immediately blended in perfectly. The chief commander of the Wasteland Reclamation Camp personally invited Wang Lan into his office. This was the first time he officially asked about Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu's identities. When he found out that Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu were both students of Shanghai Cebu Gakuen and that both of them had peak galaxy-grade cultivation bases, the chief commander's first reaction was to send these two guys away. He himself was only at the peak galaxy-grade cultivation base. Why were there two peak galaxy-grade cultivators? Furthermore, the commander knew that he was already over 40 years old and that his life was coming to an end. However, the two people in front of him were both students of Shanghai Cebu Gakuen. It was rumored that 80% of the students who graduated from the four great Cebu Gakuen broke through to the Starsea realm. Even if they couldn't break through in school, they could definitely break through after a few years of experience outside. Fortunately, the commander still had some self-control. After struggling a few times, that impulse was suppressed. It seemed that interns had to return to school after their internship ended, right? After that, Wang Lan was assigned to the regular battle sequence by the commander. There were absolutely no restrictions on Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu. Anyway, the two of them could do whatever they wanted. If they wanted to participate in missions, they could participate. If they didn't want to participate, they could sleep every day. Just like that, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu gradually integrated into the team. Integrating into the team wasn't something that could be done just because one wanted to. It was a process of mutual acceptance. Because of Wang Lan's participation, the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimer Army wantonly collected high-difficulty missions, such as investigating the chaotic fog, exterminating a mutated beast tribe, or rescuing a trapped wasteland reclamation team. These missions originally required a few large-scale wasteland reclamation teams to work together to complete. However, the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimer Army completed the missions quickly and beautifully. In a short period of time, the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimer Army's reputation rose. At the same time, the surrounding large-scale Wasteland Reclaimer Army were taken aback. After understanding the reason, they were all envious and jealous. They didn't hesitate to report to the command center that the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimer Army was too powerful. They sternly stated that they were not allowed to take out Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu when snatching missions. For 3 months, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu's days were still considered free and unfettered. To others, the southwest region belonged to the wilderness. However, to Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu, it was a quiet place. Even the mutated beasts that were brutal in the eyes of others were quite cute and docile in the eyes of the two of them. At the very least, Wang Lan had tried it before. She just stood there without moving, and a mutated beast ran away whimpering after breaking its teeth. Then, unfortunately, it bumped into the Wasteland Reclaimer Army that was in the midst of killing. With a poochie sound, it had a beautiful reunion with its tribe. Chapter 477. From an outsider's point of view, Wang Lan was slacking off. You could have done everything you could. Why did you only do 1%? Of course, Wang Lan could do everything he could. Given his strength as a titled battle pet warrior, Wang Lan could easily push forward 100 kilometers. However, the territory they conquered had to be defended. Even if they pushed forward 100 kilometers, what if no one defended it? There were also several titled battle pet warriors in the command center. Why were they only responsible for sudden missions and not defending the territory? That was the reason. If the territory could only be defended by the strong, the territory would become a cage for the strong. For the past 3 months, Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu had only cooperated with the command center. It seemed like they were shooting here and there, but in fact, they were preparing for a large-scale battle. Ordinary pioneers could not tell. Only veterans who had been in the territory for a long time, or people like Wang Lan, who had reached a certain level, could tell. Wang Lan returned to the rear camp after accepting the mission. Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu had a small independent building in the rear camp. Anyway, it was made with the earth and would element Takashi Hoshi skills, so they could have as many as they wanted. When he entered the room, he saw Jiang Xinyu sitting cross-legged on the bed. The astral power around her was constantly surging. The two different elements of astral power were mixing. Jiang Xinyu had cultivated the third element, fire, after breaking through to the galaxy state. She had already mastered the composite Takashi Hoshi skills. Now, she was trying to fuse her astral power to a deeper level. She took advantage of the fact that she was at the peak of the galaxy state to complete the cultivation of the astral power fusion. When she reached the Star Sea state, she would have a higher starting point. Hearing the noise, Jiang Xinyu slowly opened her eyes. "You're back so early today?" "Yes, the command center has a mission." "What?" "A 100-team battle. There will be a large-scale battle in the southwest region. They will drive the chaotic fog back 100 kilometers. That's a big operation. Participating in this operation will earn us a lot of points, right? The interns are in luck. We don't lack points, but it's quite interesting to be able to participate in such a big operation. Come to the command center tomorrow morning. The chief commander will assign you a mission." On the morning of the second day, the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimer Legion's division commanders gathered at the command post. The entire Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimer Legion only had 3 strong exponents above the galaxy grade, and this included Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu. If they were to get rid of the 2 of them, then the head commander would be the only one left. Soon, dozens of exotic beasts that looked like velociraptors appeared in front of everyone. These exotic beasts were of the fire attribute. Their thick tails would burn with flames from time to time. Velociraptors had the speed of the wind. Moreover, their claws were not as short as real velociraptors. Instead, they were sharp claws. Their tough-tempered skin made them immune to most sword attacks. Their terrifying tails could easily crush rocks. When they encountered the velociraptors, the team immediately stopped. Guishao, Sulai, I'll leave them to you. Duan Qing Feng shouted. Yes. Two small teams rushed out of the crowd and charged towards the pack of velociraptors. If it wasn't for the huge difference in strength, Wang Lan would not have helped. At most, he would interfere at a critical moment to ensure that no one would die. Although Wang Lan was strong, he was only the tip of the iceberg. Only these Takashi Hoshi were the true cornerstones. A cornerstone needed to be tempered thousands of times before it could be made into something useful. The two small teams only had about 20 people. There were 40 to 50 velociraptors in front of them. Whether it was individual strength or numbers, they did not have the advantage. However, the Wasteland Reclaimers had tactics and cooperation. This was the main reason why they could survive in this alternate dimension. In an instant, the two pairs of Takashi Hoshi separated. Apart from the two team leaders who stayed in the front, the rest of the team members circled around to flank them. The velociraptors roared at the Takashi Hoshi and issued a warning. Attack! Once they were surrounded, there was no suspense in the battle. Pincer attacks from the front and back, left and right. This kind of strategy made it difficult for the velociraptors to fend for themselves. If they charged at the enemy in front of them, they would be attacked from behind. If they felt the pain, they would turn around and attack from behind, but their butts would be hit again. The velociraptors did not know what it meant to fight back to back and cover each other. They also did not know what it meant to break through the enemy's defenses. Thus, under the two small teams kiting, the battle ended in less than 10 minutes. The mission of the Wasteland Reclaimers was to march 100 kilometers. With the speed of a normal Takashi Hoshi, this mission was not difficult. However, because of the presence of exotic beasts, this mission was extremely difficult. Especially the deeper they went, the more exotic beasts there were, and the stronger the exotic beasts were. In 3 months, Wang Lan had cleared out most of the powerful exotic beasts in the surrounding area. However, Wang Lan's clearing area did not exceed 30 kilometers. Thus, after 30 kilometers, a large number of exotic beasts gradually appeared. There were also exotic beasts with strength above the galaxy realm. At this time, Wang Lan could no longer stand by and watch. A group of hundreds of exotic beasts gathered together and charged towards the Wasteland Reclaimers. Under the lead of 30 galaxy realm exotic beasts, the exotic beasts were like a torrent of steel. Every exotic beast's eyes revealed a crazed bloodlust. They had seen many Wasteland Reclaimers like this before. However, they had never seen such a weak group recklessly running to such a deep place. Normally, the humans who dared to enter such a deep place were the scouting teams of the Wasteland Reclaimers. Other than being strong individually, they also had the Takashi Hoshi's stealth skills. Normally, they would retreat immediately after scouting. However, this team of 500 people was exuding nebula astral power fluctuations and swaggering so boldly. Wasn't this a free meal? If they didn't take a bite, how could they be worthy of this free buffet? Held butterfly dance. In an instant, dozens of colorful butterflies appeared among the exotic beasts. Every Takashi Hoshi above the galaxy realm had such a butterfly beside them. No exotic beast would care about fragile creatures like butterflies, so they pretended not to see them. However, in the next instant, Wang Lan's figure appeared around the held butterfly and slashed down. The galaxy realm exotic beasts were cut in half before they could even understand what was going on. Galaxy realm exotic beasts refer to those with astral power at the galaxy realm. However, this did not mean that their combat strength was at the galaxy realm. Some exotic beasts did not have high astral power levels, but they had stacked armor that surpassed the galaxy realm's defense. There were all kinds of exotic beasts. Some had stacked armor, Some had reversed armor, some had increased agility, and some had increased body size. However, no matter which aspect they added their points to, they were like paper in front of Wong Lan's slash. With one slash, dozens of Galaxy Realm exotic beasts were killed on the spot. The exotic beasts were still charging. However, a second later, the exotic beasts charging at the front suddenly stopped in their tracks. In that instant, they suddenly realized that the powerful exotic beasts leading the charge had disappeared. No, without the Galaxy Realm exotic beasts, wouldn't this group of exotic beasts, whose strongest combat strength was only at the nebula level, be a motley crew? Kill! Duan Qingfeng drew his battle blade and let out a roar that reverberated through the sky. The 500 soldiers behind him drew their weapons and charged at the exotic beasts in the distance. The magic-type Takashi Hoshi bombarded the exotic beasts with long-range Takashi Hoshi techniques, while the support-type Takashi Hoshi instantly joined forces to use their crowd-control Takashi Hoshi techniques to separate the exotic beasts. What followed was a one-sided massacre. The fierceness of the Wasteland Reclaimers was the most shocking group that Wong Lan had ever seen. They might not be strong, but their fighting style was really one where they fought with their lives on the line. In the past, the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimers were still fine. They would still consider whether they would get hurt. However, ever since they had Wong Lan, they threw away their last concerns. The exotic beasts were fierce, but they were even fiercer than the exotic beasts. Perhaps the laws of the battlefield were just that strange. The more you were afraid of death, the faster you would die. The more you were afraid of getting hurt, the easier it would be for you to get hurt. And the more you didn't take your life seriously, the harder it would be for you to survive. The fierce Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimers wiped out this group of exotic beasts that were not inferior in size to them at the cost of very few injuries. Those that were injured were revived in a short, while under Wong Lan's light of life. Next, we have to rush at full speed. There are still 40 kilometers left, but there are only 3 hours left before the attack on the command center. We have to reach the ice cliff within 3 hours and guard the ice cliff. Chapter 478. The terrain of all alternate dimensions was very strange, and the Cloud Sea Wasteland Reclaimers were no exception. Clearly, there was a dry desert across the river, but after crossing the river, there might be a tropical rainforest. There was only one plausible explanation for the formation of such a complicated and strange environment, and that was the chaotic construction of space fragments. Every piece of terrain was a piece of space fragment, and many space fragments were pieced together to form a complicated alternate dimension. It was like a Rubik's Cube that was randomly pieced together. On one side of the ice cliff was a continuous mountain forest, and the structure of the mountain was hard Yaoyang rock. On the other side was an endless snowy and icy plain. When the Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimers arrived at the ice cliff, there was less than half an hour left before the deadline for the mission. Earth Element Takashi Hoshi set up camp immediately. Guo Xiaosu, bring some people to guard the ice cliff and stop the bees from coming over. Duan Qingfeng ordered loudly after arriving. Yes, Commander, I'll go take a look too. Wong Lan said as he walked side by side with Jiang Xinyu towards the canyon of the ice cliff. The Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimers who stayed at the camp immediately started moving. Every one of them was covered in blood and emitted a strong, murderous aura. They couldn't remember how many battles they had experienced along the way. If they had encountered wave after wave of beasts in the first half of the journey, then in the second half of the journey, the beast had almost never stopped attacking. The killing along the way made the entire Qingfeng Wasteland Reclaimer army in a state of tension. If the strange beast saw this group of Wasteland Reclaimers at this time, they would definitely not think that this was a group of humans, but like them, bloodthirsty and tyrannical. Accompanied by the ripples of Takashi Hoshi's technique, stone houses rose from the ground of the camp. These stone houses were all made of Yaoyang rock, which was extremely hard and connected with the black rocks under their feet. Perhaps it was because they felt the fluctuation of star power not far away. a few roars suddenly came from the snowy mountains outside the ice cliff. Guxiaosu's eyes turned cold. His figure flashed to the front of the line of defense and stared at the continuous white snow in the distance. Suddenly, numerous figures appeared in the white snow. Each of them was 3 meters tall and looked like a human. There was no nose or mouth on his face, but there was a black swirling fog in his empty eye sockets. She was originally as cute as a snowman, but because of her sinister and evil eye sockets, she was given the name Snow Demon. Snow Demon had only appeared in the Cloud Sea in recent years. Jiang Xinyu opened her hands, and a formation appeared in Jiang Xinyu's palms. Countless ice bullets rushed out of the formation and bombarded the surrounding snow fiends like a machine gun. If Jiang Xinyu was a stationary cannon with both offense and defense, then Wang Lan would be a moving killing machine. After the Sword of Light's beginner enlightenment, the Sword of Light, which could change infinitely, became a fancy weapon in Wang Lan's hands. Wang Lan floated in the sky and used the Sword of Light's transformation ability to transform into countless light swords to bombard the snow fiends below. Although the snow fiends had strong bodies and unparalleled defenses, their defenses were no different from paper in front of the light swords that were attached with sword gleams. The dense bombardment fell like rain, instantly clearing a large area outside the ice cliff. Guo, who was standing at the entrance of the ice cliff, gulped. Is he still human? He's only 1 realm higher than us. Does he have to be so brutal? 1 realm higher? Su Lai glanced at Guo from the corner of his eye. The chief commander is also at the galaxy grade. Do you think he can do this? Even a Star Ocean grade expert wouldn't dare to use this kind of fighting method. He's indeed a top student of Shanghai, Cebu Gakuen. The gap is too big. I've always thought that, so what if he's a student of a famous school? As long as he's in Nebula, I can still beat him up. But now, I suddenly feel that we have to be careful when we meet people from the 4 great star brilliant schools in the future. Being too arrogant is easy to get beaten up. You're thinking too much. Star Blazing can't make it to the 4 great star brilliant schools. Rumble. All of a sudden, a thunderous roar came from the horizon. The two of them looked back at the same time. In the camp, the wood-type Takashi Hoshi was finishing the furniture arrangement. Many of the wasteland reclaimers who had finished their work stopped and looked up at the eastern sky. What are you looking at? Duan Qing Feng shouted. The command center's big operation has begun. Are you all done? If you're done, why are you still standing here? Why aren't you helping guard the ice cliff? As Duan Qing Feng spoke, he called for the rest of the wasteland reclaimers to hurry to the ice cliff. The battle at the ice cliff had already begun, and it sounded like there was a big motive. If it weren't for Wang Lan and Jiang Xinyu holding the fort, Duan Qing Feng would be quite worried. But when he got closer, he was so angry that his neck was crooked. Su Lai and Guo were actually leaning lazily on the edge of the ice cliff. A group of 30 people was actually watching a good show. What are you guys doing? Don't you know how to help? Chief Commander, is there still a need for us to help? Guo replied with a bitter smile. Duan Qing Feng arrived at the front line of the ice cliff.